Across the tropical Indo-Pacific, coral reefs rise from the sea floor like submerged cities, layered with towers of limestone and branching forests of living coral. Sunlight filters down through the clear water in shifting shafts, illuminating a world of color and constant movement. Schools of fusiliers sweep through the upper water like flowing ribbons of silver. Parrotfish rasp algae from coral skeletons with scraping teeth that echo faintly across the reefscape. In the narrow passages between coral heads, cleaner shrimp wave their delicate antennae, while small wrasses hover expectantly, offering parasite removal services to passing fish. Every crevice, every hole, every shadowed overhang hides life. And the reef functions like a densely populated metropolis where thousands of species compete, cooperate, and evade one another in an endless choreography of survival. Within this intricate architecture lives a creature that seems almost out of scale with its surroundings. The humphead wrasse, often called the Napoleon fish, moves through the coral structures like a drifting submarine. Adult individuals can reach lengths greater than 2 meters and weigh well over 100 kilograms, making them among the largest reef fish in existence. Their bodies are thick and muscular, colored in shifting gradients of turquoise, green, and deep cobalt blue that shimmer with subtle patterns as sunlight refracts across their scales. The lips are heavy and fleshy, giving the fish an oddly thoughtful appearance, while the eyes move slowly and deliberately as they survey the reef. Yet the most striking feature of the Napoleon fish is the enormous bulging forehead that rises above its eyes. This prominent cranial hump grows more pronounced as the fish ages, forming a dense mass of bone and cartilage that extends forward like the armored prow of a ship. At first glance, the structure appears almost ornamental, a curious quirk of anatomy that adds to the fish's distinctive silhouette. But in the ecology of the reef, the hump functions as something far more practical. It is a tool, a weapon, and occasionally a piece of living heavy machinery. Coral reefs are built from calcium carbonate skeletons secreted by tiny colonial animals known as coral polyps. Over centuries, these skeletal frameworks accumulate, layer upon layer, forming complex geological structures riddled with cavities and tunnels. The reef becomes a fortress of hiding places, providing shelter for countless small animals that depend on narrow crevices to escape predators. Crabs wedge themselves into gaps beneath coral plates. Sea urchins occupy holes worn into limestone by their grinding teeth. Small fish retreat deep into branching coral where larger hunters cannot reach them. For most reef predators, these fortifications represent a serious challenge. Many carnivorous fish rely on speed or ambush tactics in open water, but they struggle to extract prey from the maze of coral architecture. The Napoleon fish approaches the problem differently. Rather than delicately probing the reef for hidden animals, it simply moves the structure itself. As the fish glides slowly along the reef face, it pauses near a coral formation riddled with holes. Beneath the surface of the coral skeleton, a small crustacean has retreated into a narrow tunnel carved through the limestone by generations of tiny inhabitants. The cavity is far too small for the wrasse to insert its mouth, and the prey sits safely beyond reach. For many predators, the pursuit would end here. The Napoleon fish, however, tilts its body slightly and pushes forward with deliberate force. The massive forehead makes contact with the coral head, and with a sudden thrust of its muscular body, the fish delivers a blunt impact that reverberates through the surrounding structure. The coral trembles, fragments loosening along weak points where growth layers have formed natural fractures. A small section breaks apart, collapsing outward into a cloud of white limestone debris. From the newly exposed cavity, startled crustaceans scatter into the open water. The wrasse opens its mouth and snaps them up with effortless precision. This behavior, repeated countless times across reef environments, reveals the true function of the Napoleon fish's cranial hump. The dense bone structure serves as a battering ram, allowing the fish to physically dismantle sections of reef in order to access hidden prey. Unlike specialized coral-eating fish that scrape living polyps from the surface, the wrasse targets the animals sheltering within the reef's internal labyrinth. Crabs, mollusks, sea urchins, and even venomous organisms like crown-of-thorns starfish can become part of its diet. The fish's thick lips and strong jaws complement this unusual feeding strategy. Inside the mouth, powerful pharyngeal teeth form crushing plates capable of breaking apart hard shells. When the wrasse captures a crab or a sea urchin dislodged from its hiding place, the prey is quickly crushed between these internal teeth. The cracking sound sometimes carries through the water as a faint echo, a reminder that the reef's armored inhabitants are not always safe behind their defenses. The Napoleon fish's feeding habits have a surprisingly important influence on the health of coral ecosystems. Among the animals it consumes are crown-of-thorns starfish, a species notorious for devastating coral reefs during population outbreaks. These large starfish feed by spreading their stomachs across living coral surfaces, digesting the polyps and leaving behind barren white skeletons. In areas where crown-of-thorns populations explode, entire reef systems can be stripped of living coral in a matter of years. Few predators are willing to tackle such a well-defended prey item. The starfish is covered in long, venomous spines that discourage most fish from attempting an attack. The Napoleon fish, however, possesses both the size and the physical resilience to overcome this defense. Observations have shown these wrasses carefully flipping the starfish over, exposing the softer underside before biting into the body with crushing force. By feeding on crown-of-thorns starfish, the wrasse indirectly protects coral colonies from destructive outbreaks, acting as a biological regulator within the reef ecosystem. This role as a regulator adds another dimension to the fish's reputation as the reef's heavy machinery. While its feeding behavior may appear destructive on a small scale, breaking apart coral fragments and scattering limestone rubble, the overall effect often benefits the reef's long-term balance. The small disturbances created by the wrasse can open new spaces where coral larvae settle and grow, gradually rebuilding sections of reef architecture over time. In this sense, the fish participates in a slow cycle of destruction and renewal that shapes the evolving structure of coral habitats. Watching a large Napoleon fish move through the reef feels almost like observing a piece of living infrastructure. The fish's immense size commands attention even among the reef's diverse inhabitants. Smaller fish instinctively move aside as it passes, forming temporary corridors in the water column. Cleaner wrasses approach cautiously, picking parasites from its skin while the giant hovers patiently above the coral. Occasionally the fish rolls slightly to expose its flanks, allowing the cleaners access to areas that would otherwise remain unreachable. The wrasse itself shows little sign of urgency. Unlike fast-moving predators that dart through the reef in bursts of pursuit, the Napoleon fish operates with calm deliberation. Its large pectoral fins sweep slowly back and forth, propelling the fish through the labyrinth with steady confidence. This relaxed movement reflects an animal that rarely faces serious threats. Adult humphead wrasses grow so large that few predators attempt to challenge them, and their thick scales offer additional protection against attack. Their dominance is further reinforced by a fascinating life history strategy. Napoleon fish are protogynous hermaphrodites, meaning individuals begin life as females and later transform into males as they grow larger. In reef communities, the largest and oldest individuals often become dominant males, controlling territories where multiple females gather during spawning seasons. This reproductive system ensures that the most powerful and experienced fish pass on their genes, gradually reinforcing the traits that allow them to thrive within the demanding reef environment. At dawn during spawning periods, groups of Napoleon fish rise from the reef into open water, releasing clouds of eggs and sperm that drift with the currents. The fertilized eggs float near the surface, carried away from the reef by tides before eventually settling into new habitats. Only a small fraction of these larvae will survive the perilous early stages of life, but those that do will grow into juveniles that begin exploring the reef's protective maze. Young wrasses often remain hidden among branching corals, feeding on small invertebrates while avoiding larger predators. As they mature and their bodies expand, they gradually assume the role of the reef's mechanical force, capable of reshaping their surroundings through sheer mass and persistence. The cranial hump, that begins as a subtle bulge above the eyes, grows into the distinctive battering structure that defines the species. In the ever-shifting dynamics of coral reef ecosystems, where competition for food and shelter drives constant adaptation, the Napoleon fish represents a remarkable evolutionary solution. Instead of evolving delicate tools for probing into crevices, it developed the strength to break the crevices apart. Instead of delicately navigating the reef's defenses, it simply pushes through them. This strategy transforms the fish into something more than a predator. It becomes a structural participant in the reef's ongoing construction and decay. Each impact against a coral head sends small fragments drifting into the surrounding water, where currents redistribute them across the reef floor. Some of these fragments become the foundation for new coral growth, while others provide shelter for small organisms that begin the slow process of colonizing fresh surfaces. The reef, therefore, is not a static structure, but a constantly evolving landscape shaped by countless biological interactions. Among the grazers, cleaners, and predators that inhabit this environment, the Napoleon fish stands out as a creature whose sheer physical presence alters the terrain itself. Through the simple act of feeding, it acts as the reef's bulldozer, dismantling small sections of coral architecture to expose hidden life and keep ecological balances in motion. In the shimmering shallows of tropical oceans, where delicate coral polyps build cities from limestone grain by grain, the arrival of the Napoleon fish introduces a different kind of force. It is the strength of a living machine, moving slowly through the reef with the quiet authority of an animal that can reshape its surroundings simply by pressing forward. At the mouth of a tropical river, where brown fresh water pours into the sea and mixes with the tides in swirling layers of silt and salt, the environment feels restless and unpredictable. Mangrove roots twist into the water like submerged claws, trapping drifting leaves and sheltering clouds of juvenile fish. Above the surface, birds circle slowly in the humid air, scanning the shallow channels for signs of movement. Beneath the opaque water, visibility shrinks to a few arm lengths, and the ecosystem shifts from the wide open clarity of the ocean into something tighter, more secretive. Here, the rules that govern life in the sea begin to break down. Many marine predators avoid these waters entirely. The chemical balance is wrong, the salinity unstable, the currents filled with sediments that clog gills and blur vision. Yet moving silently through this murky transition zone is a creature that has mastered both worlds. The bull shark arrives not as a visitor, but as a conqueror. The bull shark carries the solid, muscular build of a hunter designed for brute force. Its body is thick and compact, with broad shoulders tapering into a powerful tail capable of sudden bursts of acceleration. Unlike the sleek torpedo shapes of open ocean sharks that rely on speed and endurance, the bull shark is built for close quarters. Its blunt snout pushes through the cloudy water ahead of it, while small dark eyes scan the shifting environment with careful patience. The shark's skin carries a dull grey tone above and pale white below, a pattern that blends surprisingly well with the muddy gradients of estuaries and river channels. But the most remarkable aspect of this animal is not its strength or its aggression. It is the extraordinary chemical flexibility hidden within its body. For most sharks, fresh water is a lethal trap. Sharks evolved in the saltwater oceans, and their entire physiology reflects that ancient origin. Inside their bodies, a delicate balance exists between the salt concentration of their blood and the surrounding seawater. Marine sharks maintain internal fluids that are slightly less salty than the ocean itself, but still far saltier than freshwater environments. This balance prevents excessive water from flooding into their tissues through osmosis, a natural process where water moves from areas of lower salt concentration to higher salt concentration. If a typical shark were to enter a river or lake, the surrounding fresh water would begin rushing into its body through the skin and gills, diluting its blood chemistry and disrupting vital organs. Within a short time, the shark would suffer severe physiological stress and eventually die. The bull shark, however, possesses an unusual set of biological tools that allow it to rewrite this chemical equation. Hidden deep within its anatomy is a specialized network of organs and glands that regulate the composition of its blood with remarkable speed and precision. At the center of this system lies the kidney, an organ that in most animals functions primarily as a filtration system to remove waste and regulate fluid balance. In the bull shark, the kidney operates more like a dynamic chemical control center, constantly adjusting the concentration of salts and other compounds within the bloodstream. When a bull shark begins moving from the ocean into brackish estuary water, its body senses the gradual shift in salinity almost immediately. Tiny sensory cells within the gills and internal organs detect changes in osmotic pressure, triggering a cascade of hormonal signals that prepare the shark for a transformation. This process, often described by marine biologists as a glandular shift, involves coordinated changes across multiple organs working together to stabilize the shark's internal environment. One of the key substances involved in this balancing act is urea, a nitrogen-based compound that sharks accumulate in their blood to help maintain osmotic equilibrium with seawater. In marine environments, sharks keep high levels of urea circulating through their bloodstream, which raises the overall concentration of dissolved chemicals in their tissues. This chemical strategy allows their bodies to remain slightly less salty than the ocean, while still preventing water from rushing inward. As the bull shark enters fresh water, this strategy becomes dangerous. The high concentration of urea would draw even more water into the shark's body, potentially flooding its tissues. The solution is rapid adjustment. Through hormonal signals, the shark's kidneys begin filtering out large quantities of urea, reducing its concentration in the bloodstream. At the same time, specialized glands near the rectum and gills adjust how salts move in and out of the body, preventing essential ions from being washed away by the surrounding fresh water. The process unfolds with surprising speed. Within a matter of minutes to hours, the bull shark's internal chemistry begins shifting toward a configuration better suited for freshwater conditions. Its kidneys increase the production of dilute urine, allowing excess water entering the body to be expelled efficiently. Meanwhile, the shark's gill cells begin actively absorbing salts from the surrounding environment, ensuring that vital electrolytes remain balanced even in water that contains almost none of them. This transformation effectively allows the bull shark to become temporarily compatible with an environment that should, by all biological expectations, kill it. In a river system where salinity may drop to nearly zero, the shark continues functioning normally, its blood chemistry stabilized by a constantly adjusting network of glands and filtration systems. The ecological implications of this ability are profound. Rivers and estuaries are typically beyond the reach of most marine predators. While freshwater fish dominate these habitats, they often lack the evolutionary defenses needed to survive encounters with large oceanic hunters. By entering these systems, the bull shark gains access to a vast and relatively unguarded food supply. Juvenile fish congregate in the protective labyrinth of mangrove roots. Schools of mullet and catfish move through the channels, feeding on algae and organic debris stirred up by tides. Even larger freshwater species, such as stingrays and river-dwelling sharks in certain regions, occupy these waters. Yet none of these animals evolved alongside a predator, quite like the bull shark. The shark moves through the murky river environment with slow, deliberate movements. Unlike the open ocean, where visibility can stretch for dozens of meters, river water often reduces sight to little more than a shadowed haze. The bull shark compensates by relying on other senses. Tiny pores along its snout form part of an electroreception system known as the ampullae of Lorenzini. These organs detect faint electrical fields produced by the muscle contractions of nearby animals. Even a fish buried beneath sediment produces enough electrical activity for the shark to detect its presence. Combined with an acute sense of smell, capable of detecting chemical traces carried by currents, the bull shark becomes an efficient hunter even in complete darkness. A wounded fish releasing amino acids into the water leaves a chemical trail that the shark can follow through winding river channels. When the predator finally closes the distance, the attack is swift and powerful. The shark accelerates with a sudden burst of muscular force, jaws opening to reveal rows of triangular teeth designed for gripping and tearing. The prey often has little chance to escape. Many freshwater species have never evolved defenses against a predator of this scale. In rivers where bull sharks establish a regular presence, the ecological balance begins to shift subtly. Fish populations adjust their behavior, moving into shallower side channels or hiding among dense vegetation to avoid open water encounters. Even crocodiles in some tropical regions must share these waterways with the shark, leading to an unusual overlap between two apex predators from entirely different evolutionary lineages. Yet the bull shark's freshwater incursions serve another purpose beyond hunting. These rivers also function as nurseries for young sharks. Female bull sharks often travel far upstream to give birth in sheltered freshwater environments where larger marine predators cannot follow. For newborn pups only a meter long, these rivers provide a temporary refuge where the risk of being eaten by larger sharks is significantly reduced. Within these quiet nursery habitats, juvenile bull sharks grow and develop the same remarkable physiological flexibility that defines their species. As they mature, they gradually expand their range, moving between river systems and coastal oceans with increasing confidence. Each transition triggers the same internal chemical recalibration, the glandular shift quietly adjusting their bodies to match the surrounding water. This ability grants the bull shark a hidden territory, unlike that of almost any other shark species. While great whites dominate cold coastal waters and tiger sharks patrol tropical seas, the bull shark moves freely between saltwater and freshwater environments. Rivers, estuaries, lagoons, and even inland lakes connected to river systems become part of its hunting domain. Across the world, records exist of bull sharks traveling astonishing distances upstream. In some rivers, they have been found hundreds of miles from the ocean, navigating winding channels deep into continental interiors. These journeys highlight the extraordinary adaptability of a predator capable of rewriting its own chemistry to match the environment. In evolutionary terms, this flexibility represents a powerful advantage. While other sharks remain bound to the oceans, the bull shark operates across ecological boundaries that most marine predators cannot cross. It does not merely survive the transition between saltwater and freshwater. It exploits it, entering territories where competition is limited and prey is abundant. Within the cloudy rivers of the tropics, the bull shark becomes something almost unexpected. A marine apex predator thriving in a freshwater world. Its kidneys and glands quietly maintain the chemical equilibrium that makes this invasion possible. Through this remarkable biological adaptation, the shark expands its dominion far beyond the shoreline, turning rivers into hidden extensions of the ocean's most formidable hunting ground. On a coral reef, danger is often associated with speed. Barracudas slash through schools of fish like living blades. Groupers explode from ambush with sudden bursts of muscle, and reef sharks patrol the edges of drop-offs with streamlined precision. Movement usually signals power in the ocean. Fast swimmers dominate open water, while quick reflexes determine survival in crowded reef corridors. Yet hidden among coral branches and sponge outcrops is a predator that seems to break this rule entirely. It appears almost incapable of movement. It rests motionless on the reef floor, slumped against a patch of algae or wedged into a crevice, as if it has simply drifted there by accident. To passing fish, it resembles a lump of coral rubble or a sponge worn smooth by the tide. Only the faint flick of a lure above its mouth betrays that this still, irregular shape is not part of the reef at all. It is a frogfish, and despite its sluggish appearance, it possesses one of the most extreme predatory mechanisms in the natural world. The frogfish belongs to a group of anglerfishes adapted specifically to shallow tropical reefs. Unlike their deep-sea relatives that glow with bioluminescent lures in darkness, reef frogfish rely on camouflage and deception to capture prey in brightly lit waters. Their bodies are compact and globular, covered in textured skin that mimics the rough surfaces of sponges, corals, or encrusting algae. Some species even grow filamentous skin appendages that resemble tiny strands of seaweed drifting in the current. Their coloration shifts widely depending on the environment, ranging from brilliant yellow to mottled brown, white, or deep green. Over time, individuals can slowly change color to better match their surroundings, blending into the reef so effectively that even experienced divers often overlook them completely. The frogfish's fins contribute further to this illusion. Instead of the sleek pectoral fins used by most fish for swimming, frogfish possess thick, jointed fins that resemble small limbs. These structures allow the fish to crawl slowly across the reef floor, pushing itself along rocks and coral heads with deliberate steps. When resting, the frogfish often anchors itself by gripping the substrate with these fins, remaining perfectly still even when currents sweep through the reef. This immobility is essential to its hunting strategy. The frogfish does not chase prey. Instead, It becomes part of the landscape and waits for the ecosystem to come to it. Just above its mouth rises a slender spine known as the elysium, which functions as a fishing rod of sorts. At the tip of this spine hangs a small fleshy lure called the esker. The shape of the lure varies among species, sometimes resembling a wriggling worm, a tiny shrimp, or even a small fish. By gently twitching the spine, the frogfish causes the lure to move in subtle, irregular motions that mimic the behavior of vulnerable prey. Small reef fish, always searching for easy meals, often approach cautiously to investigate the movement. For long moments, nothing happens. The frogfish remains frozen, its mouth closed and eyes watching with quiet patience. To an observer unfamiliar with its capabilities, the animal appears almost inert, as if it lacks the energy for sudden action. But beneath this stillness lies a highly specialized system of bones and muscles prepared to unleash one of the fastest feeding strikes in the animal kingdom. The key to this extraordinary ability lies in the frogfish's skull structure and the mechanics of suction feeding. Many fish capture prey by expanding the cavity of their mouths, drawing water and food inward through a rapid increase in internal volume. This method works well for small prey, but the frogfish has taken the concept to an extreme level rarely seen elsewhere in vertebrates. When a curious fish moves within striking distance of the lure, the frogfish's jaws open with explosive speed. The bones of the skull rotate outward and downward, expanding the oral cavity to several times its resting volume in an astonishingly brief moment. The entire motion occurs in approximately 6 milliseconds, a span of time so short that it approaches the limits of high-speed biological movement. To understand how remarkable this is, it helps to consider the sensory world of the prey. Most small fish rely on a combination of vision and reflexes to avoid predators. When a shadow passes overhead or light levels change suddenly, specialized photoreceptor cells in their eyes detect the disturbance. Signals travel through the nervous system to the brain, triggering a rapid escape response that sends the fish darting away from danger. Even this reaction, considered extremely fast in biological terms, takes several milliseconds to initiate. The frogfish's strike operates faster than that neurological process can complete. By the time the prey's visual system detects the sudden darkness caused by the opening mouth, the predator has already created a powerful suction force that pulls water and prey inward simultaneously. The fish is engulfed before its nervous system can process the threat. The physics behind this suction event is both elegant and brutal. As the frogfish expands its oral cavity, the sudden increase in internal volume creates a drop in pressure relative to the surrounding water. Nature tends to equalize pressure differences quickly, so water rushes toward the low pressure zone inside the mouth. Because the frogfish opens its jaws with such speed, the inflowing water accelerates rapidly, forming a focused current that drags nearby objects along with it. For the unfortunate prey hovering near the lure, the effect is immediate. Instead of swimming toward the frogfish, the prey is suddenly swept forward by a localized current that feels more like a miniature vacuum than a traditional bite. The water column itself becomes the capture mechanism. The frogfish does not chase, clamp down, or even need to make direct contact with its prey. The physics of fluid movement delivers the prey directly into its throat. High-speed imaging has revealed that the frogfish can engulf prey nearly equal to its own body size using this method. Once the prey crosses the threshold of the mouth, inward-pointing teeth prevent escape, and the frogfish quickly closes its jaws again. The entire feeding sequence unfolds faster than the blink of a human eye, leaving the surrounding reef community almost unaware that a predation event has just occurred. This incredible strike speed compensates for the frogfish's otherwise slow lifestyle. Unlike active predators that patrol large territories, frogfish rarely move more than short distances within their chosen habitat. They rely on camouflage and patience, conserving energy by allowing prey to approach them voluntarily. This strategy is particularly effective in the complex three-dimensional environment of coral reefs, where countless small fish constantly investigate potential food sources hidden among algae and coral branches. The frogfish's success also depends on the sensory abilities of its prey. Reef fish are conditioned by evolution to respond strongly to moving objects that resemble small invertebrates. The lure exploits this instinct by presenting exactly the kind of movement that typically signals a meal. In a sense, the frogfish hacks into the feeding behavior of other fish, turning their natural curiosity into a fatal mistake. Despite their formidable hunting ability, frogfish themselves remain vulnerable to larger predators such as groupers and moray eels. Their defense lies primarily in camouflage and stillness. By blending seamlessly into the reef and avoiding unnecessary movement, they reduce the chance of attracting attention. Their skin texture and irregular body shape disrupt the outline that predators might recognize as prey. The frogfish's reproductive behavior adds another fascinating layer to its life history. When breeding season arrives, males and females briefly abandon their solitary habits to spawn in open water. The female releases a buoyant mass of eggs encased in a gelatinous raft that drifts near the surface. The male fertilizes the eggs externally before the pair quickly separate again, returning to their quiet lives on the reef below. The drifting egg raft carries thousands of developing embryos away from the reef environment, dispersing them across wide areas of ocean. When the larvae eventually hatch, they begin life as tiny, free-swimming fish before settling onto reefs where they will adopt the sedentary ambush lifestyle of their parents. Only a small fraction will survive the hazardous early stages of development, but those that do will grow into masters of one of nature's most extreme predatory techniques. Watching a frogfish hunt can be an oddly unsettling experience. The fish appears so harmless, so motionless, that it challenges our expectations of what a predator should look like. Yet beneath that quiet exterior lies a feeding mechanism tuned to the very edge of biological possibility. By combining deceptive camouflage with one of the fastest mouth movements ever recorded in a vertebrate, the frogfish has transformed patience into lethal efficiency. In the bustling environment of the coral reef, where competition for food drives constant innovation, the frogfish demonstrates that speed does not always require constant motion. Sometimes the most powerful strategy is to remain perfectly still until the precise moment when physics itself becomes the weapon. For a fraction of a second, water rushes inward, pressure collapses, and the unsuspecting prey disappears into the predator's expanding jaws before the reef even realizes what has happened. Far out in the open ocean, where the water column stretches for miles beneath the hull of drifting clouds and the horizon dissolves into a pale haze, the surface can appear almost empty. From above, the Pacific or the Southern Ocean may seem like an endless sheet of shifting blue glass, disturbed only by wind lines and the occasional ripple of feeding seabirds. Yet beneath this quiet surface moves the largest animal to have ever existed on Earth, a creature whose presence is so immense that it quietly alters the physical environment around it. The blue whale does not need speed, armor, or venom to dominate its world. Its power lies in scale and physics. Everything about the animal, from its colossal body to the way it communicates through water, operates on principles that make it almost untouchable. In the realm of evolutionary advantages, the blue whale sits near the absolute ceiling of what biology can achieve. An adult blue whale glides through the pelagic wilderness with slow, deliberate strokes of a tail, wider than many small boats. Its body stretches longer than most city buses and weighs as much as several fully loaded commercial airplanes combined. Yet despite this immense mass, the whale moves with an almost eerie silence. Its skin, mottled in shades of slate blue and pale grey, blends into the filtered light of the open sea. Remoras and small copepods cling to its surface, feeding on microscopic debris while hitching a ride across the planet's largest habitat. From a distance, the whale resembles a drifting geological feature rather than a living creature, like a submerged ridge slowly shifting through the water column. But the true reach of a blue whale extends far beyond the length of its body. It spreads outward through sound, in deep pulses that travel across entire ocean basins. Unlike most marine mammals that rely on higher-pitched calls or complex whistles, blue whales communicate through extremely low-frequency vibrations, often lower than the threshold of human hearing. These pulses roll through the ocean like distant thunder, resonating through water with astonishing efficiency. In the ocean, sound travels far better than light. Water transmits acoustic energy with minimal loss, allowing low-frequency signals to travel extraordinary distances before fading into background noise. When a blue whale releases one of these deep pulses, the vibration moves outward in expanding waves, slipping between layers of water that differ slightly in temperature and density. Oceanographers describe this pathway as a natural acoustic channel that forms at certain depths in the sea. Sound entering this layer becomes trapped between warmer surface water and colder depths below, bouncing gently between the boundaries like a stone skipping along invisible walls. Within this channel, low-frequency whale calls can travel across staggering distances, sometimes reaching more than 1,000 miles away from the source. To another blue whale drifting somewhere beyond the horizon, perhaps days of swimming away across the same ocean basin, the call arrives as a faint rhythmic tremor through the water. The receiving whale does not hear it in the way terrestrial animals hear sound through air. Instead, the vibration moves through the whale's massive skull and specialized inner ear structures designed to detect extremely low frequencies. In essence, the whale feels the sound as much as it hears it, perceiving distant companions through pressure changes that ripple across its body. This ability creates something akin to a vast invisible communication network spanning entire oceans. Individual whales, separated by distances that would isolate most animals completely, remain loosely connected through a slow exchange of acoustic signals. These calls may serve several purposes. They help whales locate potential mates across enormous territories. They may allow individuals to maintain awareness of each other's positions while migrating through the deep ocean highways that connect feeding grounds with breeding regions. And perhaps most importantly, they reinforce the dominance of a creature whose presence is felt across thousands of square miles without the animal needing to appear physically. The blue whale's sonic influence is only one aspect of its domination of the marine environment. Its sheer physical scale produces another subtle but powerful effect: the creation of a massive pressure wake as it moves through the sea. Every large object traveling through water displaces fluid, creating zones of compression and suction around its body. For most animals, this effect is negligible, a minor ripple in the surrounding water. But when the object moving through the ocean weighs well over 100 tons, the fluid dynamics begin to behave differently. As the blue whale glides forward, its immense body pushes aside vast volumes of water. Pressure increases along the leading edge of the whale's head and shoulders, forcing water to move outward and around the animal's flanks. Behind the whale, the displaced water collapses inward again, forming a trailing wake where pressure drops slightly below the surrounding environment. To a school of small fish or drifting krill caught within this moving corridor, the experience resembles being swept into a slow underwater current that forms spontaneously around the passing giant. Marine biologists observing feeding blue whales have noted a curious phenomenon within dense swarms of prey. Even before the whale opens its enormous mouth, clusters of krill and small fish begin drifting toward the animal's path as if drawn by an unseen force. The pressure gradients created by the whale's movement subtly rearrange the water around it. Tiny organisms suspended in the water column are carried along these shifting currents, funneling toward the front of the whale's massive head. This effect becomes particularly significant in areas where prey density is extremely high. In the cold, nutrient-rich waters of polar feeding grounds, swarms of krill can form clouds so thick that they appear as reddish shadows beneath the surface. Each krill is only a few centimeters long, yet millions of them gather together in moving concentrations that stretch for hundreds of meters. For a blue whale, this dense biological soup represents the primary source of energy needed to sustain its enormous body. Rather than chasing individual prey, the whale relies on physics and scale to harvest entire patches of the ocean at once. As it approaches a krill swarm, the pressure wake generated by its forward movement begins drawing the outer edges of the swarm inward. Krill, being weak swimmers, cannot resist the slow shift of water currents surrounding the whale. They drift toward the animal's path, concentrating into the zone directly ahead of its mouth. At the final moment, the whale accelerates slightly and opens its jaws in one of the most dramatic feeding events in the animal kingdom. The mouth expands outward like a living parachute, engulfing a volume of water roughly equivalent to the whale's own body mass. Flexible pleated grooves along the underside of the throat stretch outward, forming a vast pouch capable of holding tens of thousands of liters of seawater and prey. Within seconds, the whale closes its jaws and begins forcing the water out through rows of baleen plates that hang from its upper jaw like enormous combs. These baleen structures function as biological filters, trapping krill, while allowing seawater to escape. The whale then uses its muscular tongue to sweep the concentrated mass of prey toward the back of its throat, swallowing thousands of tiny crustaceans in a single gulp. Each feeding lunge can capture tens of millions of individual krill, providing an enormous surge of energy that fuels the whale's migrations across the planet. Yet the remarkable part of this feeding strategy is how little effort the whale actually expends in gathering prey. The pressure field generated by its own body begins organizing the prey field before the whale even opens its mouth. Instead of actively chasing krill through the water, the whale allows the physics of fluid flow to do much of the work. The ocean itself becomes part of the feeding mechanism. This combination of immense size and subtle hydrodynamic influence places the blue whale in a category of dominance rarely seen in nature. Most predators rely on speed, stealth, or specialized weapons to capture prey. The blue whale simply moves through the water, and the environment rearranges itself around the animal's presence. The same principle extends beyond feeding. The wake left behind a swimming blue whale can stretch for hundreds of meters, forming swirling eddies that transport nutrients and plankton through the surrounding waters. Smaller fish and marine invertebrates often gather within these wakes, exploiting the sudden mixing of water layers that can bring food particles upward from deeper zones. In this way, the whale acts as a mobile ecosystem engineer, altering the distribution of energy and nutrients simply by passing through an area. Even after the whale dives into deeper water, its influence lingers. The pulses of low-frequency sound it releases continue traveling across the ocean basin long after the animal itself has vanished beneath the surface. Somewhere far away, another blue whale receives the signal and adjusts its own movement in response. Across thousands of miles of open water, these giants remain faintly aware of one another through the slow language of sound. In the vast hierarchy of marine life, the blue whale stands as a living demonstration of how evolution sometimes achieves dominance, not through aggression, but through scale and efficiency. It does not chase rivals or defend territory with violence. Instead, it occupies a realm where few other animals can compete at all. Its body reshapes the ocean around it. Its voice travels farther than almost any biological signal on the planet, and its feeding strategy harnesses the basic physics of water itself. In a world where survival often depends on speed or cunning, the blue whale represents a different path to supremacy. It has grown so large and so perfectly adapted to the physics of the sea that the ocean quietly bends around it. The whale does not merely live within the marine environment. In many ways, it becomes part of the environment itself, an enormous moving presence whose echoes and currents ripple outward through the blue wilderness for miles in every direction. In the warm, shallow waters that fringe tropical coastlines, the seafloor often spreads out in wide, gentle plains of seagrass. From above, these underwater meadows appear like enormous green carpets stitched across sandy lagoons and sheltered bays. Sunlight penetrates easily through the clear water, fueling dense growth of marine plants that sway rhythmically with the passing currents. These seagrass fields are among the most productive ecosystems on the planet. They shelter juvenile fish, stabilize coastal sediments, and store vast amounts of carbon within their tangled root systems. At first glance, the landscape seems peaceful and quiet, an underwater pasture where small fish drift lazily between the waving blades. Yet across this calm environment moves one of the ocean's most unusual herbivores, a creature whose feeding method quietly reshapes the seafloor itself. The dugong moves slowly over the meadow, its massive body gliding just above the grass like a drifting shadow. Adults can reach lengths approaching 3 meters and weigh several hundred kilograms, yet their movement through the water appears almost effortless. The body is thick and smooth, colored in muted shades of gray that blend easily with the pale sediment below. The head curves downward toward the seafloor, giving the animal a posture that always seems slightly bowed, as if the dugong spends its life in a permanent search for something hidden beneath the grass. Unlike dolphins or whales, which evolved for speed and agility in open water, the dugong is built for grazing. Its paddle-shaped flippers steer gently, while the powerful tail pushes the animal forward with slow, deliberate strokes. The eyes are small, and the snout points downward, reflecting a life spent focused on the ocean floor rather than distant horizons. But the most remarkable feature of the dugong is found at the tip of its muzzle. A large, flexible upper lip capable of movements so precise and forceful that it functions almost like a muscular hand. This prehensile lip is the key to the dugong's role in the seagrass ecosystem. To a casual observer, grazing on seagrass might seem like a simple process. The animal lowers its head and consumes the leaves much like a terrestrial herbivore feeding on grass. In reality, the dugong's feeding strategy is far more sophisticated and physically demanding. The true prize lies not in the green blades waving above the sediment, but in the roots buried below. Seagrass plants anchor themselves to the sandy seabed through networks of underground rhizomes, horizontal stems that spread beneath the surface and produce new shoots. These rhizomes store concentrated nutrients, including carbohydrates and starches, that fuel the plant's growth. Compared with the leafy blades above the sediment, the root systems contain significantly more energy per gram. For an animal as large as the dugong, accessing this hidden reserve of nutrients provides a powerful advantage. As the dugong hovers over a patch of seagrass, its flexible lip begins to work methodically across the meadow. The lip folds and grips the plants near their base, pulling upward with surprising strength. Instead of neatly cropping the leaves, the dugong tears the entire plant from the seabed, uprooting the rhizomes and dragging them into its mouth. Clouds of fine sediment billow upward with each movement, briefly obscuring the animal's face as it excavates the underwater pasture. This feeding behavior transforms the dugong into a kind of benthic vacuum, capable of clearing broad swaths of seagrass meadow while extracting the nutrient-rich roots hidden below. Trails of disturbed sediment mark the path of the grazing animal, creating long feeding scars across the seafloor where plants have been removed entirely. At first glance, these scars might seem destructive, but within the dynamics of the ecosystem, they serve an important function. Seagrass meadows thrive on cycles of disturbance and regrowth. When dugongs uproot sections of the meadow, they create open spaces where new shoots can emerge. These younger plants often grow faster and contain higher nutrient concentrations than older, mature leaves. In this way, the dugong's feeding activity stimulates fresh growth, maintaining a mosaic of plant ages across the meadow. The result is a more productive habitat that supports a wide range of marine life. The dugong's ability to extract rhizomes depends on more than just the strength of its lip. Its entire skull structure is adapted for this downward feeding posture. The snout angles sharply toward the sea floor, allowing the animal to press its mouth directly into the sediment. Stiff bristles around the lips act as tactile sensors, helping the dugong detect the position of plants buried beneath the sand. These sensory hairs guide the precise movements of the prehensile lip, ensuring that the animal grips the correct portion of the plant before pulling. Once uprooted, the seagrass passes into a mouth equipped with broad, grinding teeth, designed for crushing plant material. Unlike carnivorous marine mammals that swallow fish whole, dugongs rely on extensive chewing to break down fibrous vegetation. Their digestive system is correspondingly specialized, with an elongated intestine where symbiotic microbes help ferment plant matter and extract nutrients. This process resembles the digestive strategies seen in terrestrial herbivores such as horses or elephants, reflecting a remarkable convergence between land and sea ecosystems. The energy obtained from these nutrient-dense roots supports another extraordinary aspect of dugong biology: their capacity for long-distance movement across coastal waters. While dugongs are often associated with particular seagrass meadows, they are capable of traveling great distances in search of new feeding grounds. Satellite tracking studies have revealed individuals migrating hundreds of kilometers along coastlines, moving between distant meadows as conditions change. These migrations are driven by the shifting availability of seagrass itself. Storms, changes in water temperature, or fluctuations in sediment can alter the health of seagrass beds dramatically. When one meadow declines, dugongs may travel to another region where growth remains strong. The rich caloric value of seagrass rhizomes provides the fuel necessary for these journeys, allowing the animals to sustain themselves even during long periods between feeding events. As the dugong continues grazing across the meadow, other animals quietly benefit from its activity. Small fish gather around the feeding scars, searching the disturbed sediment for exposed invertebrates. Crabs scuttle through the loose sand, taking advantage of the newly opened spaces between plants. Even sea turtles occasionally follow dugongs across the meadow, feeding on the younger shoots that emerge after the roots have been removed. The dugong itself seems largely indifferent to these companions. It moves steadily forward, lip working through the grass in a slow rhythm of grasping and tearing. Occasionally, the animal lifts its head toward the surface, releasing a quiet burst of air before sinking back down to resume feeding. Each breath marks a brief interruption in the endless cycle of grazing that defines its life. Despite their massive size, dugongs maintain a surprisingly gentle presence within their environment. They rarely display aggressive behavior and spend much of their time either feeding or resting in sheltered coastal waters. Calves often swim closely beside their mothers, learning the locations of productive seagrass beds through observation and experience. The bond between mother and calf can last for several years, reflecting the slow reproductive cycle typical of large marine mammals. This slow pace of life makes dugongs particularly dependent on stable habitats. Seagrass meadows must remain healthy and continuous for the animals to thrive. When coastal development or pollution damages these underwater pastures, dugongs may be forced to travel farther in search of food, expending precious energy in the process. In regions where seagrass disappears entirely, dugong populations decline rapidly. Yet where the meadows remain intact, the presence of dugongs signals a functioning ecosystem. Their feeding activity shapes the structure of seagrass fields, preventing overgrowth while encouraging renewal. Through the simple act of grazing, they maintain a balance between plant productivity and herbivore consumption that benefits a wide range of marine species. Watching a dugong feed reveals a form of power that differs from the dramatic predation seen elsewhere in the ocean. There is no sudden chase, no explosive strike. Instead, the animal relies on patient strength and specialized anatomy to extract energy from one of the ocean's most overlooked food sources. The muscular lip grips the plant, the roots are pulled free, and the meadow shifts subtly beneath the animal's steady advance. Over time, these quiet feeding trails stretch across kilometers of seafloor, tracing the hidden movements of a creature whose life revolves around the slow harvest of underwater grasslands. Each uprooted plant fuels another journey along the coast, another migration across warm tropical seas where new meadows await discovery. In this way, the dugong becomes more than a grazer. It is a gardener of the benthic landscape, shaping the growth patterns of seagrass while drawing nourishment from the roots hidden beneath the sand. Through the strength of a single muscular lip, it transforms humble marine plants into the energy needed to cross entire oceans, proving that even in the vastness of the sea, survival sometimes depends on the smallest details of anatomy and the quiet persistence of feeding on the ocean floor. Along the colder edges of the world's oceans, where coastal currents carry nutrient-rich waters toward rocky shorelines and drifting ice fields, seals slip quietly between two realms. They rest on land or ice with an air of casual stillness, bodies stretched across sandbars or piled together on floating slabs of frozen sea. Yet once they enter the water, their entire physiology transforms. Beneath the surface, the seal becomes something else entirely. A hunter designed to move through darkness, turbulence, and shifting currents where vision alone offers little advantage. The ocean rarely provides perfect clarity. Coastal waters are often filled with suspended sediment, swirling plankton, or the dim shadows of winter storms that block sunlight from penetrating the depths. In these conditions, many predators struggle to locate prey. But the seal carries a sensory system that allows it to perceive the movements of animals that passed by long before it arrived. It does not simply detect what is present in the water. In a sense, it reads the water's memory. The most striking feature of a seal's face is the array of long, thick whiskers that extend outward from its muzzle. These whiskers, known scientifically as vibrissae, form a delicate fan of sensory filaments arranged in symmetrical rows. At first glance, they resemble the whiskers of terrestrial mammals such as cats or rodents, yet their function in the aquatic world is far more specialized. Each whisker is rooted deeply within the skin inside a follicle, surrounded by a dense network of nerves and blood vessels. These follicles act as microscopic sensory laboratories capable of detecting even the smallest movements in the surrounding water. To understand how these whiskers operate, it is helpful to consider how water behaves when an object moves through it. When a fish swims through the ocean, it does not pass silently through a static environment. Every flick of its tail disturbs the surrounding fluid, creating small vortices and swirling currents that trail behind the body. These disturbances form what scientists call a hydrodynamic wake. Much like the wake of a boat spreading across the surface of a lake, the movement of the fish leaves a trail of turbulence that lingers in the water long after the animal has moved on. For most predators, these wakes fade into the background noise of the ocean within moments. Currents mix them into the surrounding water, and the signals become indistinguishable from other environmental disturbances. But the whiskers of seals are uniquely structured to capture these subtle patterns before they disappear. Each whisker possesses an unusual shape that differs from the smooth, cylindrical hairs found on many mammals. Instead of a uniform tube, the whisker forms a flattened, wavy structure along its length, resembling a twisted ribbon. This shape reduces self-generated vibrations when the seal swims through the water, allowing the whiskers to remain stable even during rapid movement. The advantage of this design becomes apparent when the seal encounters the wake of a passing fish. As the swirling currents brush against the whiskers, they cause tiny deflections along the length of each hair. These movements are transmitted directly to the sensitive follicles at the base, where specialized nerve cells convert the mechanical vibrations into electrical signals. The seal's brain then interprets these signals, reconstructing the pattern of water movement that produced them. In effect, the seal can feel the invisible trail left behind by a swimming fish. The pattern of vortices reveals not only the direction the fish traveled, but also information about its size and swimming speed. Larger fish produce stronger wakes, while rapid tail beats create distinctive turbulence patterns that differ from slower movements. By analyzing these hydrodynamic signatures, the seal can follow the path of prey that passed through the water many seconds earlier. Laboratory experiments have demonstrated the remarkable sensitivity of this system. In controlled conditions, seals have successfully followed artificial wakes created by small underwater devices, even when the source of the wake had already been removed. Some individuals were able to track these trails for up to half a minute after the disturbance occurred. In the constantly shifting environment of the ocean, 30 seconds can represent a considerable distance traveled by a fish. Yet the seal can reconstruct the direction of movement and pursue the trail like a detective, following invisible footprints through the water. This ability effectively allows the seal to perceive a recent history of movement in its environment. While vision provides information about the present, hydrodynamic tracking reveals what happened moments earlier. The seal does not merely see the fish if it is still within sight. It reads the signature of where the fish was, even if the animal has already vanished into the darkness. The ecological significance of this skill becomes particularly evident in environments where visibility is limited. Coastal estuaries, for example, often contain high concentrations of suspended sediment carried by rivers into the sea. In such waters, even daylight may not penetrate more than a few meters. Fish that rely on visual camouflage or quick evasive maneuvers gain a temporary advantage against predators that depend primarily on sight. For the seal, however, the absence of clear visibility does little to hinder its hunting ability. As the seal glides through the murky water, its whiskers extend forward like an array of sensitive antennae. The animal often swims with its head slightly angled downward, allowing the vibrissae to probe the surrounding currents. When the whiskers encounter the wake of a recently passing fish, the seal slows and begins to follow the pattern of turbulence. Each subtle twist of water against the whiskers refines the animal's understanding of the prey's path. The seal's streamlined body supports this methodical pursuit. Its powerful hind flippers propel it through the water with graceful undulations, while the foreflippers assist with steering and balance. Unlike many fish, which rely primarily on tail propulsion, seals swim using a combination of body flexibility and flipper movement that allows precise adjustments in speed and direction. This maneuverability proves valuable when following the irregular wake patterns left by evasive prey. Hydrodynamic tracking also works in combination with other senses. Seals possess excellent underwater hearing, and a highly developed sense of smell when near the surface. In some cases, the faint sound of a fish moving through water or the chemical traces released by injured prey can complement the information gathered by the whiskers. Together, these sensory inputs create a multi-layered picture of the underwater environment, allowing the seal to navigate and hunt even in complete darkness. The prey species that share the seal's habitat have evolved their own strategies to avoid detection. Many fish attempt to break up their hydrodynamic signatures by darting unpredictably or hiding among complex underwater structures such as kelp forests and rocky reefs. In dense kelp beds, the constant movement of long fronds in the current creates a chaotic background of swirling water that can obscure the wake of a passing fish. Yet even here, the seal's whiskers often detect subtle differences between plant-generated turbulence and the distinct patterns produced by a swimming animal. In open water, where obstacles are scarce, fish may rely on sudden bursts of speed to escape pursuit. But rapid swimming creates stronger vortices, which can paradoxically make the fish easier to track through hydrodynamic signals. A frightened fish fleeing at top speed leaves a turbulent trail that lingers in the water like a glowing path visible only to the seal's sensitive whiskers. Seals themselves must remain alert to larger predators such as sharks and orcas. In these encounters, the whiskers again provide valuable information. The movement of a large predator through water generates a powerful wake that can be detected even before the animal comes into view. By sensing these disturbances early, seals may alter their swimming patterns or retreat towards safer areas where the risk of attack is reduced. Beyond hunting and predator avoidance, the whiskers also play a role in social interactions and navigation. When seals move through complex underwater terrain, such as rocky coastlines or ice formations, the vibrissae help detect nearby surfaces and obstacles. This tactile awareness allows the animal to maneuver through narrow passages without relying solely on vision. In regions where seals haul out onto floating sea ice, the whiskers can even detect the subtle water movements beneath the ice edge, revealing the presence of breathing holes used by other marine mammals. The whiskers themselves are remarkably durable structures. Like other mammalian hairs, they eventually shed and regrow throughout the animal's life. Each new whisker emerges with the same specialized shape and sensitivity, ensuring that the seal's hydrodynamic perception remains intact even after years of hunting in abrasive marine environments. Watching a seal swim through its underwater domain reveals a predator whose abilities extend beyond what human senses can perceive. To an observer looking through a diving mask, the water may appear empty, the prey long gone and invisible in the dim blue distance. Yet the seal continues forward with quiet determination, guided by information encoded within the subtle movements of water itself. The ocean records every motion that occurs within it, even if only for a short time. Fish leave trails of swirling vortices, predators carve paths through currents, and waves reshape the flow patterns around reefs and coastlines. Most animals experience only the immediate present of this dynamic environment. The seal, however, has evolved the ability to read its recent past. Through the delicate sensitivity of its whiskers, the seal interprets these lingering disturbances as a three-dimensional map of recent activity. The wake of a fish becomes a path leading forward through the water column, and the predator follows it with steady patience until the trail intersects with its source. In this way, the seal hunts not just what it sees, but what the water remembers, transforming invisible currents into one of the most extraordinary sensory systems found in the marine world. In the warm tropical seas, where coral reefs rise from the continental shelf and sunlight floods the upper layers of the ocean, there are moments when the water seems suspended in perfect calm. Schools of smaller fish drift like scattered confetti above the reef crest, their bodies flashing in coordinated turns as they feed on plankton carried by the current. The reef itself hums with quiet activity. Parrotfish scrape algae from coral skeletons, wrasses patrol cleaning stations, and clouds of anthias hover above rocky outcrops like drifting sparks of orange and pink. Yet among this constant movement, there exists another presence, one that rarely appears in frantic motion until the final instant. Suspended just beyond the edge of the reef, often alone and motionless, a long silver form waits with an unsettling stillness. The barracuda holds position in the water column like a living spear balanced in midair, its sleek body pointed forward, its eyes fixed on the shifting shapes of the reef community. The barracuda's body design reflects a predator built for decisive violence rather than endurance. Unlike the thick-bodied groupers that rely on ambush within reef crevices, or the massive sharks that patrol long distances through open water, the barracuda represents a specialized middle ground between stealth and explosive speed. Its body is narrow and elongated, almost cylindrical, tapering smoothly from its pointed snout to the powerful tail. The head is angular and streamlined, housing a mouth lined with long, dagger-like teeth that interlock when the jaws close. These teeth are not designed for crushing or grinding, but for slicing. When the barracuda strikes, the prey is often cut or seized with surgical precision before it even recognizes the predator's presence. At first glance, the barracuda might seem overly conspicuous in the reef environment. Its scales shimmer like polished metal, reflecting light in flashes of silver that appear almost too bright for camouflage. Many reef fish depend on mottled patterns or cryptic coloration to blend with coral structures. The barracuda, however, has adopted a different strategy. Its reflective scales mirror the surrounding water so effectively that its outline dissolves into the constantly shifting patterns of light beneath the surface. To a fish looking upward from below, the barracuda reflects the brightness of the sky. To a fish viewing it from the side, the scales mirror the surrounding water column. The result is a moving reflection that often escapes recognition until it is far too late. But the barracuda's mirrored skin serves another purpose beyond simple concealment. When sunlight strikes the fish at the right angle, the reflective scales scatter bursts of light across the surrounding water. For prey species whose eyes are adapted to detect subtle contrasts in the reef environment, these flashes can momentarily overwhelm the retina, producing a brief visual disruption. In the instant before the strike, the prey may see only a burst of reflected glare rather than the approaching predator itself. This moment of confusion lasts only fractions of a second, but in the world of high-speed predation, it can be enough to determine the outcome of the encounter. The true power of the barracuda lies in the extraordinary acceleration generated by its muscular body and tail. While many fast-swimming fish rely on sustained speed over long distances, the barracuda is built for explosive bursts of motion that unfold in a single rapid sequence. The tail fin, shaped like a deeply forked blade, acts as the primary engine. When the barracuda decides to attack, the entire body coils slightly in preparation, muscles along the spine storing energy like a compressed spring. In a sudden release of force, the tail lashes sideways with immense power, propelling the fish forward in an explosive surge. The motion happens so quickly that observers often describe it as a blur of silver slicing through the water. Within a single flick of its tail, the barracuda can reach speeds approaching 35 miles per hour. For a fish only a meter or two in length, this acceleration represents an extraordinary display of hydrodynamic efficiency. This sudden burst of speed relies on a physiological process known as ram ventilation, a respiratory strategy used by many fast-swimming fish. Unlike slower species that pump water over their gills using muscular movements of the mouth and throat, barracudas rely on their forward motion to force water across their gill surfaces. As the fish swims, water enters the mouth and flows continuously over the gills, delivering oxygen directly to the bloodstream. This method allows the barracuda to maintain high metabolic output during intense bursts of activity, fueling the powerful muscle contractions needed for rapid acceleration. Ram ventilation also shapes the barracuda's behavior. Because oxygen delivery depends on forward movement, the fish tends to remain in gentle motion even when not actively hunting. It hovers in the water column with subtle adjustments of its fins, maintaining enough movement to keep water flowing across its gills. This constant readiness allows the predator to transition instantly from stillness to explosive pursuit when an opportunity arises. The prey species that share the barracuda's habitat have evolved a variety of strategies to avoid becoming part of its diet. Many smaller fish rely on tight schooling behavior, forming dense groups that move in synchronized waves through the reef. By maintaining close proximity to one another, individuals reduce the likelihood of being singled out during an attack. When a barracuda approaches, the school often reacts with sudden bursts of coordinated motion, splitting apart and reforming in shifting patterns designed to confuse the predator. Yet the barracuda's hunting style is uniquely suited to overcoming these defenses. Rather than chasing an entire school, it focuses on isolating a single target. The predator approaches slowly at first, its reflective body blending with the shifting light patterns of the water. As the school begins to react, one fish inevitably breaks formation for a fraction of a second, creating a momentary gap in the protective structure. The barracuda's attack is triggered precisely at this instant. The explosive acceleration collapses the distance between predator and prey almost immediately. The tail flick drives the barracuda forward with such force that the water around its body forms small vortices trailing behind the tail. The jaws open just wide enough to capture the fleeing fish, and the sharp teeth close with lethal efficiency. In many cases, the strike is so fast that surrounding fish continue swimming for several seconds before recognizing that one of their companions has vanished. The barracuda's reliance on speed also influences its habitat choices. These predators often patrol the outer edges of coral reefs or the boundaries where reef structures give way to open water. In these zones, schools of smaller fish frequently gather to feed on plankton drifting in from deeper currents. The open space provides the barracuda with the room needed to accelerate without obstruction. Within the dense coral structures themselves, where narrow passages limit movement, other predators such as groupers or moray eels dominate. The barracuda prefers the edges where it can fully exploit its speed advantage. Beyond its hunting behavior, the barracuda also participates in broader ecological interactions within the reef environment. Juvenile barracudas often inhabit mangrove estuaries and seagrass beds, where smaller fish are abundant and larger predators are less common. These sheltered nurseries provide young barracudas with opportunities to grow rapidly before venturing into the more competitive waters of the reef. As they mature, their diet expands to include a wider range of prey species, including sardines, mullet, and even smaller reef predators. Adult barracudas occasionally form loose aggregations, particularly in areas where prey is abundant. In these gatherings, dozens of individuals may hover together in open water, their silver bodies reflecting sunlight like a cluster of floating mirrors. Despite the proximity of so many potential competitors, each fish maintains its own personal space, drifting calmly within the group without aggressive interaction. These aggregations may serve as a strategy for exploiting seasonal migrations of prey fish that pass through reef environments in large numbers. The barracuda's sensory abilities also contribute to its effectiveness as a predator. Its large eyes provide excellent vision in bright tropical waters, allowing it to detect subtle movements at considerable distances. The lateral line system running along the sides of its body senses vibrations in the surrounding water, helping the fish detect disturbances caused by swimming prey. Together, these sensory inputs create a detailed picture of the environment, enabling the barracuda to time its attacks with remarkable precision. Yet despite its formidable capabilities, the barracuda occupies a delicate balance within the marine ecosystem. Larger predators such as sharks occasionally prey upon barracudas, particularly juveniles. In turn, the barracuda helps regulate populations of smaller fish species, preventing any single group from dominating the reef community. This balance between predator and prey shapes the complex web of interactions that sustain coral reef ecosystems. Watching a barracuda in its natural environment reveals a predator defined by efficiency rather than aggression. The fish does not waste energy in constant pursuit. It waits patiently, suspended in the water like a poised arrow, until the precise moment when conditions favor a strike. When that moment arrives, the barracuda transforms from stillness into motion with breathtaking speed. In the span of a single tail flick, the silver body accelerates forward, reflective scales scattering light across the water as the predator closes the distance. The prey experiences only a sudden flash and a burst of turbulence before the jaws snap shut. Within seconds, the barracuda returns to its quiet, hovering posture, the brief violence of the hunt already finished. In the vast and competitive environment of tropical reefs, survival often depends on subtle advantages in design and behavior. The barracuda embodies one of the most refined expressions of this principle. Its mirrored armor manipulates light to confuse its prey, Its streamlined body converts stored muscle energy into explosive acceleration, and its reliance on ram ventilation sustains the oxygen demands of these sudden bursts of speed. Together, these adaptations transform the barracuda into one of the ocean's most efficient high-speed hunters, a living arrow that strikes with such precision and speed that the water itself barely has time to react. Across wide tropical shallows and temperate coastal flats, the ocean floor often appears deceptively simple. From the surface, sandy seabeds seem almost empty compared to the bustling architecture of coral reefs or kelp forests. Yet these soft sediment environments hide a remarkably dense community of life. Beneath the sand lie burrowing worms, clams, crustaceans, and small fish that spend most of their lives hidden from view. The seabed becomes a concealed world where survival depends on remaining undetected, where prey disappears into the sediment and predators must rely on senses far beyond ordinary vision to locate their meals. Gliding silently above this concealed landscape moves a creature that seems almost supernatural in its ability to detect what cannot be seen. The stingray drifts through the water like a living shadow, its broad, flattened body rippling gently as it travels just centimeters above the seabed. Its wings, which are actually enlarged pectoral fins, undulate in slow, rhythmic waves that propel the animal forward with minimal disturbance to the surrounding water. The long tail trails behind like a slender whip, sometimes carrying a venomous spine used only as a defensive weapon. From above, the stingray resembles a piece of drifting sediment, blending perfectly with the sandy background through mottled patterns of brown, grey, and pale gold. Yet beneath this calm exterior lies one of the most sophisticated sensory systems in the marine world. The stingray is not merely searching the sand with its eyes. It is reading invisible signals that flow constantly through the water and sediment. Every living organism produces tiny electrical impulses as muscles contract and nerves fire. These impulses are incredibly weak, far too faint for most animals to detect. But the stingray possesses specialized organs capable of sensing them with astonishing precision. Scattered across the ray's underside and around its snout are clusters of tiny gel-filled pores known as ampullae of Lorenzini. Each pore connects through a narrow canal to a sensory cell deep within the animal's skin. These structures act as biological voltage detectors, capable of perceiving electrical fields measured in millionths of a volt. When the stingray glides above the seabed, these sensors scan the environment continuously, detecting the faint electrical activity produced by hidden animals beneath the sand. To appreciate how powerful this system is, it helps to imagine the challenge faced by predators hunting in soft sediment habitats. Sand acts like a natural camouflage, allowing prey to bury themselves completely while leaving no visible trace of their presence. A shrimp or small fish can disappear beneath the seabed within seconds, leaving the surface smooth and undisturbed. For predators that rely on sight, the prey might as well have vanished entirely. But the electrical signals produced by living tissue cannot be hidden so easily. Even beneath several inches of packed sediment, a buried animal continues to generate electrical impulses through its breathing and muscle activity. These signals travel through the conductive environment of seawater and wet sand, spreading outward in faint waves. The stingray's electroreceptive organs detect these signals with extraordinary sensitivity, allowing the predator to locate prey hidden as deep as a foot below the seabed. As the stingray patrols across the sandy flat, its body hovers just above the sediment, wings flexing gently with each movement. The mouth and gill openings are positioned on the underside, allowing the ray to feed while remaining close to the bottom. The eyes, located on top of the body, scan the surrounding water for potential threats. Meanwhile, the electroreceptors below perform the real work of hunting. When the ray passes above a buried animal, the electrical signal registers instantly. The pattern of the field reveals not only the presence of prey, but also its approximate size and orientation beneath the sand. A buried clam produces a different electrical signature than a wriggling worm or a crustacean moving slowly through the sediment. By interpreting these subtle variations, the stingray can distinguish between potential meals and harmless background noise. Once a promising signal is detected, the ray slows and begins to circle the area with quiet precision. Its wings adjust slightly to maintain position above the sand, while the sensory organs refine their readings. The ray's brain integrates the incoming signals, building a mental map of the prey's location beneath the surface. The entire process unfolds silently, with no outward indication that the predator has already pinpointed its target. The attack itself is swift but surprisingly controlled. The stingray tilts its body downward and uses powerful jets of water expelled from its gill openings to blast away sand covering the prey. These jets create swirling plumes of sediment that briefly obscure the seabed, exposing the hidden animal below. Within seconds, the prey is uncovered and trapped beneath the ray's broad body. What follows reveals another remarkable adaptation that defines the stingray's feeding strategy. Unlike many predators equipped with sharp teeth for tearing flesh, stingrays possess dental structures designed for crushing. Inside the mouth, rows of flattened teeth form a continuous grinding surface known as pavement dentition. These teeth interlock to create a broad plate capable of exerting tremendous pressure. The design is perfectly suited for handling armored prey such as crabs, clams, and lobsters. When the ray captures one of these animals, it positions the prey between the crushing plates and closes its jaws with immense force. The hard shell that protects the crustacean offers little resistance against the combined pressure of dozens of tightly packed teeth. Within moments, the shell splinters and collapses, reduced to fragments small enough for the ray to swallow. In the case of a lobster, whose thick exoskeleton might deter many predators, the result can be startlingly efficient. The ray's jaws grind down the shell until it breaks apart into manageable pieces, exposing the soft tissue within. The process happens quickly, often within seconds, demonstrating how evolutionary specialization has equipped the ray to exploit prey that other predators might avoid entirely. This feeding ability allows stingrays to occupy a unique ecological role in sandy seabed habitats. While many predators focus on fish or soft-bodied organisms, rays target the armored invertebrates that dominate sediment ecosystems. By consuming crabs, clams, and other burrowing animals, stingrays help regulate populations that might otherwise grow unchecked. Their feeding behavior also reshapes the seabed itself. As rays excavate buried prey, they create shallow pits and depressions across the sandy flats. These disturbances stir up nutrients trapped within the sediment and expose hidden organisms that become available to other species. Small fish and scavengers often gather around recently disturbed areas, feeding on invertebrates uncovered during the ray's search. In this way, the stingray functions as both predator and ecosystem engineer. Its constant probing of the seabed alters the structure of the sediment environment, redistributing nutrients and influencing the distribution of benthic organisms. Over time, the repeated activity of rays can transform large areas of seafloor into patchworks of feeding pits and recovering sand. Despite their formidable hunting abilities, stingrays themselves must remain vigilant against larger predators. Sharks, in particular, have evolved strategies for attacking rays by flipping them onto their backs, exposing the vulnerable underside where the mouth and gills are located. To avoid such encounters, many stingrays rely on camouflage and stillness when resting on the seabed. By partially burying themselves beneath the sand, they reduce the likelihood of being detected by passing predators. This behavior creates an ironic twist in the predator-prey dynamic. The same sand that conceals prey from the stingray also conceals the stingray from its own predators. When resting, the ray's eyes and spiracles remain exposed above the sediment, allowing it to monitor its surroundings while remaining largely invisible. The stingray's sensory world extends beyond electroreception alone. Like many fish, rays also possess a lateral line system that detects vibrations in the water. This network of sensory cells runs along the body and helps the ray perceive movement nearby. Combined with electroreception, the lateral line provides additional information about the location and activity of prey hidden beneath the sand. These overlapping sensory systems allow the stingray to operate effectively in environments where visibility fluctuates dramatically. Coastal waters often become turbid after storms or strong currents, reducing clarity to only a few feet. In such conditions, visual hunters may struggle to locate prey. The stingray, however, continues its search almost unaffected, guided by the electrical whispers of buried animals beneath the sediment. Watching a stingray hunt across the sandy seabed reveals a predator that appears almost ghost-like in its movements. It drifts across the landscape with quiet grace, its broad wings stirring only the faintest ripples in the water. Beneath this calm surface, the electroreceptors constantly scan the environment, decoding invisible patterns of electrical activity that betray the presence of hidden life. When the signal appears, the ghost becomes a hunter. Sand erupts in a sudden cloud, the prey is exposed, and the crushing plates of the raised jaws close with mechanical precision. Moments later, the sediment settles again, and the predator resumes its slow glide across the seabed as though nothing had happened. In the vast complexity of marine ecosystems, where survival often depends on detecting the faintest clues left by other organisms, the stingray represents an extraordinary example of evolutionary innovation. Its electroreception allows it to sense what lies hidden beneath layers of sand, transforming the seemingly featureless seabed into a landscape filled with detectable signals. Through this remarkable sensory ability and its powerful crushing dentition, the stingray dominates a realm where most predators would find little to eat. It navigates the invisible currents of electrical energy flowing through the sediment, locating prey that cannot be seen and reducing even the hardest shells to powder. In doing so, it reveals that beneath the quiet surface of the sandy ocean floor lies a world of hidden activity, waiting to be discovered by those capable of sensing the faintest signals of life. Along the edges of rocky coastlines, where waves crash endlessly against stone, the ocean reveals a different kind of ecosystem than the vibrant coral reefs of the tropics or the soft sandy plains of shallow bays. Here the seafloor is built from ancient rock faces, fractured cliffs, and boulder fields that have been shaped by centuries of tides and storms. Kelp forests sway in the surge like underwater forests, their long brown blades stretching upward toward the light. Mussels cling tightly to exposed surfaces, barnacles form dense crusts along the rocks, and snails graze slowly across algae-coated stone. At first glance, the scene appears almost static, as though the hard surfaces of the coastline resist change. Yet even these seemingly permanent structures are slowly altered by some of the smallest and most overlooked creatures in the ocean. Hidden among cracks in the rocks and nestled into shallow depressions across the seabed lives a creature that looks more like a defensive weapon than a living animal. The sea urchin is little more than a round, armored body covered in sharp spines that radiate outward in every direction. These spines move slowly but constantly, adjusting position as the animal shifts across the rock surface. To many observers, the urchin appears passive, even immobile, a creature that simply waits for food to drift past in the currents. In reality, the sea urchin is a remarkably capable engineer of its environment, equipped with one of the most unusual feeding mechanisms found anywhere in the animal kingdom. At the center of the urchin's underside lies a structure that ancient naturalists once described with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. This structure is known as Aristotle's lantern, a name given to the intricate arrangement of bones and muscles that form the urchin's mouth. The lantern is composed of 5 sharp teeth arranged in a symmetrical pattern, each connected to a complex framework of skeletal plates and muscles that allow the teeth to move in coordinated motions. The entire mechanism functions like a set of mechanical jaws designed not for slicing flesh, but for grinding and scraping extremely hard surfaces. When a sea urchin feeds, these 5 teeth extend slightly from the mouth and press against the rock beneath the animal's body. Muscles within the lantern contract and relax in precise sequences, causing the teeth to scrape and chisel away microscopic fragments of algae, encrusting organisms, and even the rock itself. The action is surprisingly powerful for such a small creature. Each movement removes tiny particles from the surface, gradually wearing down the substrate over time. This ability to grind rock may seem excessive for an animal that primarily feeds on algae, but it serves an additional purpose that becomes apparent when observing the patterns left behind by urchin activity. Across many rocky shorelines, especially in regions where sea urchins are abundant, the seabed is dotted with small circular depressions carved directly into solid stone. These shallow pits are not random features created by erosion or wave action. They are sleeping holes, carefully excavated shelters created by individual urchins through years of persistent scraping. The process of creating one of these protective cavities is slow, but relentless. A young sea urchin settling onto a rocky surface begins feeding in place, scraping away algae while gradually removing minute fragments of the underlying rock. The lantern's teeth act like miniature chisels, grinding the stone grain by grain. Over months and years, the constant scraping deepens the indentation beneath the animal's body. Eventually, the urchin sinks into a perfectly sized depression that matches the curvature of its shell. Once the sleeping hole is established, the urchin gains a remarkable defensive advantage. Nestled within the depression, its body sits partially recessed into the rock, while its spines extend outward like a defensive barricade. Predators attempting to reach the soft underside of the urchin must contend not only with the sharp spines, but also with the surrounding stone that blocks access from many angles. In effect, the urchin has built its own armored bunker, carved directly into the seabed. This strategy is particularly valuable in environments where predators such as sea otters, fish, and crabs constantly search for opportunities to crack open spiny prey. While many animals can consume sea urchins by breaking their shells or flipping them over, individuals sheltered within deep sleeping holes become significantly harder to dislodge. The rock cavity stabilizes the urchin against wave action as well, preventing it from being swept away during powerful coastal storms. The ability to grind rock also reflects the sea urchin's broader ecological role within coastal ecosystems. By feeding on algae and scraping the substrate, urchins help control the growth of seaweed that might otherwise dominate rocky surfaces. In balanced ecosystems where predators keep urchin populations in check, this grazing activity maintains a dynamic mosaic of bare rock and algal patches that supports a wide range of marine life. However, when predator populations decline, sea urchin numbers can increase dramatically. In such cases, the relentless grazing behavior of the urchins transforms entire habitats. Large areas of once lush kelp forest can be reduced to barren landscapes where little remains except exposed rock and scattered urchins. These environments, known as urchin barrens, illustrate the enormous impact that a seemingly small grazer can have on coastal ecosystems. Within these barrens, the sea urchin's rock grinding abilities become even more evident. Without dense kelp canopies shading the seafloor, urchins roam more freely across exposed surfaces, scraping away algae and continuing to enlarge their sleeping holes. The rock becomes etched with thousands of tiny depressions, each marking the long-term residence of an individual animal that has slowly carved its shelter through persistent feeding. The lantern mechanism itself is a marvel of biological engineering. The 5 teeth grow continuously throughout the urchin's life, compensating for the constant wear caused by grinding rock and algae. As the tips of the teeth erode, new material forms at the base, pushing the tooth outward, much like the growth of rodent incisors. This continuous renewal ensures that the lantern remains sharp and functional even after years of use. The coordination of the lantern's moving parts requires an intricate arrangement of muscles and skeletal plates. When the urchin feeds, each tooth moves slightly out of phase with the others, creating a grinding motion that increases efficiency. The teeth can protrude to scrape the rock and retract again as the lantern resets for the next stroke. This rhythmic action allows the urchin to feed almost continuously, while remaining firmly anchored to its chosen spot on the seabed. Although sea urchins lack the complex nervous systems of vertebrate animals, their behavior reveals a surprisingly effective ability to interact with their environment. Tube feet extending between the spines allow the urchin to move slowly across the rock surface, gripping the substrate through suction like tiny hydraulic limbs. These tube feet also help manipulate food particles scraped loose by the lantern, guiding them toward the mouth for consumption. The spines themselves serve more functions than simple defense. Many species can rotate their spines in coordinated patterns to assist with locomotion or to wedge themselves more securely within their sleeping holes. In some environments, urchins even use their spines to hold pieces of debris or algae above their bodies as camouflage, creating a mobile shelter that shields them from sunlight and predators. Despite their formidable defenses, sea urchins remain part of a complex food web. Sea otters in particular have evolved a remarkable relationship with these spiny grazers. Otters dive to the seabed, collect urchins, and carry them to the surface, where they use stones as tools to break open the shells. This predation plays a crucial role in maintaining the balance between kelp forests and urchin populations. Where otters thrive, kelp forests flourish, providing habitat for fish, invertebrates, and countless other marine organisms. In regions where otter populations have declined, the expansion of urchin barrens demonstrates the profound influence these small animals exert on their environment. The simple act of scraping rock with their lanterns becomes a force capable of reshaping entire coastal ecosystems. Watching a sea urchin at work reveals a kind of quiet persistence rarely noticed by casual observers. The animal moves slowly across the rock, spines shifting gently while the lantern scrapes beneath its body. Each motion removes only microscopic fragments of stone, yet over years the cumulative effect becomes unmistakable. Solid rock yields to the steady pressure of 5 tiny teeth, carving out a shelter that protects the urchin throughout its life. In the turbulent world of rocky shorelines, where waves pound the coast and predators patrol the seabed, survival often depends on finding a secure place to endure the constant motion of the sea. The sea urchin has solved this challenge through an elegant combination of anatomy and patience. By turning its mouth into a geological tool, it transforms the hardest surfaces of the ocean floor into personal refuges carved directly from stone. Within these sleeping holes, surrounded by protective spines and anchored firmly to the rock, the urchin continues its slow work of grazing and grinding. The lantern scrapes away algae, the teeth renew themselves with each passing season, and the rock beneath gradually deepens into a perfectly shaped sanctuary. What appears at first glance to be a simple spiny creature reveals itself as a master of persistence, quietly reshaping the ocean floor through the relentless power of its 5-toothed lantern. Along the rugged edges of cold, temperate seas, the ocean floor is a landscape of shadowed boulders, scattered shell fragments, and narrow crevices carved by centuries of wave energy and shifting sediment. Kelp forests sway above the rocks like drifting curtains, filtering the sunlight that reaches the seabed. In these dim corridors between stones, countless creatures navigate a world built around hiding places and ambush points. Crabs shuffle sideways through the rubble, brittle stars coil themselves beneath ledges, and small fish hover nervously near shelter, always aware that something larger may emerge from the darkness at any moment. Within this maze of stone and algae lives a predator whose life unfolds on a timescale that dwarfs most of the creatures around it. The lobster moves slowly across the seafloor, its long antennae sweeping ahead like flexible sensors probing the water. At first glance, it seems almost prehistoric, armored in thick plates of chitin that form a segmented shell across its body. Its claws extend forward like mechanical tools, one built for crushing and the other for slicing. Beneath the shell lies a powerful set of muscles that allow the lobster to maneuver across the rocky terrain with surprising agility when necessary. Yet the most extraordinary feature of this animal is not visible in any single movement or anatomical structure. It lies in the way the lobster grows. Most animals follow a predictable pattern of development. They grow rapidly during youth, reach maturity, and eventually slow down as age takes its toll. Bones weaken, muscles lose efficiency, and the body gradually declines. Lobsters follow a very different biological script. Their growth does not truly stop. Instead, they continue to increase in size and strength throughout their lives in a process known as indeterminate growth. This remarkable characteristic is made possible by the lobster's exoskeleton. Unlike vertebrates that grow within internal skeletons, lobsters are encased in a rigid external shell that cannot expand once it hardens. To grow larger, the animal must periodically shed this shell through a process called molting. During a molt, the lobster splits the old exoskeleton and carefully pulls its body free, revealing a new soft shell beneath. At this stage, the lobster is extremely vulnerable, its protective armor temporarily reduced to a flexible membrane. In the hours and days following the molt, the lobster absorbs water into its tissues, expanding its body before the new shell hardens. This process allows the animal to increase its size incrementally with each molt. Over time, repeated cycles of shedding and rebuilding the exoskeleton produce a steady pattern of growth that can continue for decades. What makes lobsters particularly unusual is that their biological machinery does not seem to slow down significantly with age. Many animals experience a gradual decline in the ability of their cells to divide and repair damage. In lobsters, however, an enzyme known as telomerase remains highly active throughout their lives. Telomerase helps maintain the integrity of DNA during cell division, preventing the gradual shortening of genetic structures called telomeres that typically occurs as animals age. Because of this persistent cellular maintenance system, lobster cells retain the ability to replicate and repair themselves far longer than those of most species. The result is an animal that can continue growing larger and stronger year after year, provided it survives the dangers of its environment. A lobster that reaches several decades of age may be vastly more powerful than its younger counterparts. Its claws become thicker and more formidable, capable of exerting crushing pressure strong enough to crack the shells of other crustaceans. The exoskeleton itself grows denser and more heavily calcified, offering increased protection against predators. In the rocky habitats where lobsters reside, these advantages translate directly into survival. Young lobsters must spend much of their time hidden within narrow crevices to avoid being eaten by fish, octopuses, or larger crustaceans. Their claws are relatively small, and their shells thin enough to be cracked by determined predators. As they grow older, however, the balance begins to shift. The claws enlarge into formidable weapons capable of both defense and predation. The shell thickens, and the animal's sheer size allows it to dominate prime hiding spaces within the rocky landscape. A mature lobster emerging from its shelter carries the presence of an animal that has endured decades of hazards. Its antennae stretch forward to test the water, detecting faint chemical signals released by nearby organisms. Lobsters possess an exceptionally sensitive sense of smell, allowing them to locate food sources hidden beneath sediment or trapped within crevices. When the scent of prey drifts through the water, the lobster begins to move deliberately toward its source. Unlike fast-swimming predators that chase down prey, lobsters rely on patience and mechanical advantage. The crusher claw, typically the larger of the pair, functions like a living vice capable of generating tremendous force. The smaller pincer claw is sharper and more agile, designed for cutting and manipulating food. Together they form a toolkit perfectly suited for handling a wide variety of prey. A crab attempting to flee across the seabed may suddenly find itself seized by the pincer claw, held firmly while the crusher claw closes around the shell. With a slow tightening motion, the lobster applies pressure until the crab's armor fractures. The sound of the shell breaking often echoes faintly through the water, followed by the careful dismantling of the prey. Even hard-shelled mollusks and sea urchins can fall victim to this crushing power. For an older lobster, these feeding abilities improve with every passing year. Larger muscles generate stronger closing force in the claws, while the thickened exoskeleton provides leverage during confrontations with prey or rivals. In effect, the lobster becomes a more efficient predator as it ages, reversing the usual pattern of decline seen in many animals. This prolonged growth also shapes the social dynamics of lobster populations. In areas where food and shelter are abundant, large individuals often dominate the most desirable territories. Younger lobsters must compete for access to crevices and feeding grounds, sometimes engaging in ritualized displays of claw waving and pushing contests. The largest animals typically prevail, their size alone serving as a deterrent to challengers. Yet despite their increasing strength, lobsters remain vulnerable during the molting process that allows their growth to continue. Each molt represents a moment of profound risk. While the new shell is still soft, the lobster cannot defend itself effectively against predators. Many individuals retreat deep into their shelters during this period, remaining hidden until the exoskeleton hardens once again. As lobsters age, the molting process becomes less frequent but more demanding. A large lobster may molt only once every several years, and the energy required to shed the old shell increases with body size. Eventually, the animal may reach a stage where the stress of molting becomes a limiting factor. In rare cases, extremely old lobsters may die during the molting process itself. Yet until that moment arrives, the animal continues its gradual transformation into an ever larger and more formidable predator. The ecological implications of this life strategy ripple through the surrounding marine environment. By feeding on a wide range of organisms, lobsters help regulate populations of crabs, mollusks, and other invertebrates. Their burrowing and movement across the seabed also influence sediment distribution and create microhabitats used by smaller species. In many coastal ecosystems, the presence of large lobsters signals a healthy balance between predators and prey. For humans, lobsters have long been both a culinary prize and a biological curiosity. Fisheries often capture individuals that have lived for decades beneath the waves, their immense claws and thick shells hinting at the years of growth that shaped them. Some lobsters have been estimated to exceed a century in age, though determining the precise age of such animals remains challenging due to the lack of permanent growth markers. Imagine a lobster that has survived for 100 years. Over that time, it has molted repeatedly, each cycle adding incremental strength and size. The claws have grown thicker, the shell harder, the sensory antennae more experienced in detecting the faint signals of prey. The animal has endured countless seasons of storms, shifting temperatures, and encounters with predators. In every measurable way, it has become more capable of defending itself and capturing food than it was in its youth. In a sense, the lobster embodies a rare biological phenomenon, a creature that improves with age rather than declines. Each year of survival adds to its arsenal of strength and resilience. While other animals slow down as time progresses, the lobster continues to refine its abilities through growth and experience. Watching a lobster move across the seafloor offers a glimpse into this extraordinary life history. The animal advances with measured steps, antennae sweeping the water, claws ready to seize whatever opportunity the environment presents. Beneath the armor lies a physiology designed for longevity and renewal, a system that allows the lobster to keep building itself year after year. In the silent world of rocky seabeds, where survival often depends on the balance between vulnerability and strength, the lobster stands as a living testament to persistence. Through the process of indeterminate growth, it transforms time itself into an advantage, turning decades of survival into the raw power of a predator that grows ever more formidable with age. Along temperate coastlines where the tide retreats twice each day, the ocean reveals a shifting world that exists somewhere between land and sea. As the water drains away from rocky shores, the seafloor becomes a patchwork of tide pools, exposed ledges, and shallow channels that glimmer under the sun. Small fish dart nervously through remaining puddles of seawater. Anemones close their tentacles to protect themselves from drying air, and crabs scramble sideways toward deeper pools where moisture remains. To the casual observer, the tide pool ecosystem appears fragile, almost temporary, as if the creatures left behind are waiting for the sea to return. Yet beneath this impression of vulnerability lives one of the most quietly powerful predators in the marine world. Clinging to the rocks among barnacles and mussels lies the starfish, a creature that seems almost decorative at first glance. Its body spreads outward in a radial pattern, arms extending like spokes from a central disc. The surface of its skin appears armored with small calcareous plates and short spines, forming a rigid texture that protects the animal from abrasion and predators. Starfish move slowly across the substrate, sometimes so gradually that their movement is nearly imperceptible unless observed over long periods of time. This slow pace has often led people to assume that starfish are passive scavengers, creatures that rely on dead material drifting into reach rather than active hunting. The reality unfolding beneath the surface of the starfish's body tells a very different story. Hidden inside this deceptively simple form lies a hydraulic system, unlike anything found in terrestrial animals. Instead of relying primarily on muscles to move or manipulate their environment, starfish use water pressure to generate motion and force. Their bodies function as living hydraulic engines, converting seawater into mechanical power through an intricate network of internal canals and flexible appendages. This system is known as the water vascular system, a defining feature of the entire group of animals known as echinoderms, which includes starfish, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. In starfish, the water vascular system begins at a small opening on the upper surface of the body called the madreporite. This structure resembles a tiny sieve embedded in the animal's skeleton. Through it, seawater enters the internal canal system that extends throughout the starfish's body. Once inside, the water flows into a circular canal located near the central disc. From this ring canal, smaller radial canals extend outward into each arm. Along these canals are hundreds of tiny bulb-shaped chambers connected to slender tube-like structures known as tube feet. Each tube foot ends in a small suction pad capable of attaching firmly to surfaces. The brilliance of this system lies in how it uses water pressure to control movement. When muscles surrounding a bulb chamber contract, they force water into the connected tube foot, extending it outward. When the pressure is released, the tube foot retracts. By coordinating the extension and retraction of hundreds of tube feet simultaneously, the starfish can crawl across the seafloor with remarkable stability. At first glance, this movement appears gentle and slow. But when these hydraulic limbs operate together, they generate a level of force that far exceeds what the small muscles inside the starfish could produce on their own. Each tube foot contributes a small amount of pulling strength, yet the collective power of hundreds of feet working in unison creates a sustained mechanical grip capable of manipulating objects far heavier than the starfish itself. This hydraulic advantage becomes especially important during feeding. One of the starfish's most common prey items is the clam, an animal that defends itself by closing its two shells tightly together using powerful muscles. A clam's closing muscle is extremely strong for its size, capable of sealing the shell shut with impressive force. Many predators attempt to crack the shell open through brute strength, but few succeed. The starfish approaches the problem with a strategy built on patience and hydraulic precision. When it encounters a clam resting on the seafloor, the starfish slowly positions its arms around the shell. Dozens of tube feet attach themselves along the edges of the clam's two valves, forming a living web of suction cups gripping both sides of the shell. Then the pulling begins. Each tube foot extends and locks into place, generating a slight outward force. Individually, these forces are modest. A single tube foot cannot overpower the clam's closing muscle. But the starfish does not rely on a single pull. Instead, hundreds of tube feet apply pressure simultaneously, each contributing its share of force. The starfish does not attempt to rip the shell open instantly. Instead, it applies continuous tension over long periods of time. The clam's muscle is built for powerful contractions, but cannot maintain maximum force indefinitely. As minutes stretch into hours, the clam begins to fatigue. Its muscle slowly loses strength, relaxing by fractions of a millimeter that are invisible to the eye. The starfish's hydraulic system does not tire in the same way. Water pressure within the canals remains constant, and the tube feet maintain their grip with relentless persistence. Gradually, the gap between the clam's shells widens just enough for the predator to exploit. At this moment, the starfish reveals another unusual adaptation. Instead of inserting a mouth into the opening, it pushes its stomach out through the underside of its body and into the gap between the shells. The stomach expands into the clam's interior, releasing digestive enzymes that begin breaking down the prey's tissues externally. Once the clam's soft body has been liquefied through digestion, the starfish slowly retracts its stomach, pulling the nutrients back into its body. The empty shell remains behind, a silent testament to the effectiveness of hydraulic persistence over brute strength. This feeding strategy illustrates an important principle in marine evolution. Strength alone does not always determine success in predator-prey interactions. The starfish's advantage lies in endurance and mechanical efficiency. By using water pressure as a force multiplier, it achieves a level of sustained pulling power that muscles alone could never maintain for such extended periods. Beyond feeding, the water vascular system plays additional roles in the starfish's biology. Tube feet are also used for sensory perception. The suction pads contain receptors capable of detecting chemical signals in the surrounding water, allowing the starfish to follow scent trails left by potential prey. When a clam or mussel releases microscopic traces of organic molecules into the water, nearby starfish can detect these signals and orient their movement toward the source. This chemical sensitivity transforms the starfish into an effective hunter, even within complex habitats such as mussel beds and rocky crevices. The animal's slow movement does not prevent it from locating prey. Instead, its sensory system allows it to navigate precisely through environments where food sources are scattered and hidden. In some coastal ecosystems, starfish play a role that extends far beyond their own survival. Certain species act as keystone predators, meaning their feeding behavior shapes the entire structure of the surrounding community. One of the most famous examples occurs along the Pacific coast of North America, where the purple sea star feeds heavily on mussels. Mussels are powerful competitors for space on rocky shorelines. Their dense clusters can cover entire sections of rock, preventing other species from establishing themselves. When starfish prey on mussels, they create openings within these clusters. These gaps allow algae, barnacles, and other invertebrates to colonize the rock, increasing the diversity of the ecosystem. If starfish are removed from such environments, mussels often expand rapidly and dominate the available space. The result is a simplified ecosystem where fewer species can survive. In this way, the starfish's quiet hydraulic feeding strategy indirectly supports the complexity of coastal life. Despite their effectiveness as predators, starfish themselves are not immune to danger. Fish, crabs, and even some birds prey upon them when the opportunity arises. Yet starfish possess their own defensive adaptations. The tough, spiny skin discourages many attackers, while the ability to regenerate lost limbs allows them to survive injuries that would be fatal for other animals. Regeneration in starfish is a process that reflects the flexibility of their body plan. If a predator bites off an arm, the remaining body can gradually regrow the missing structure over time. In some species, a detached arm containing part of the central disc can even regenerate into an entirely new individual. This ability transforms physical damage into an opportunity for survival and reproduction. As the tide returns and seawater flows back across the rocky shore, the starfish resumes its quiet patrol across the submerged landscape. Tube feet extend and retract in carefully coordinated sequences, pulling the animal across the stone surface with steady determination. Around it, mussels filter plankton from the water, crabs search for scraps, and small fish weave through patches of algae. Within this dynamic environment, the starfish continues its role as both predator and ecological engineer. Its hydraulic body, powered not by brute muscular strength, but by the controlled movement of seawater, demonstrates a form of biological engineering rarely seen on land. The water vascular system transforms the ocean itself into a source of mechanical power, allowing the starfish to exert forces that rival those of far larger animals. Seen from a distance, the starfish may appear simple, even fragile. Yet beneath its armored skin lies a system capable of sustained mechanical effort that few creatures on Earth can match. By harnessing the pressure of water and the coordination of hundreds of tiny limbs, the starfish turns patience into strength, slowly prying open the defenses of creatures that would otherwise remain untouchable. In the quiet arenas of the seafloor, where survival often depends on endurance rather than speed, this hydraulic engine ensures that the starfish remains one of the most quietly formidable predators of the tidal world. In the tropical shallows where warm oceans slide gently across pale sandbanks and mangrove channels, the water often appears deceptively calm. Sunlight pours through the surface in bright columns, illuminating drifting particles that sparkle like dust suspended in air. Small fish patrol the edges of seagrass meadows, while juvenile barracuda hover motionless in the shadows of mangrove roots. Reef fragments lie scattered across the sandy floor, creating pockets of habitat where crabs dig shallow burrows and shrimp maintain narrow tunnels beneath coral rubble. It is an environment that appears peaceful, almost inviting, particularly during the still hours of early morning when the sea resembles a sheet of polished glass. Yet in these same quiet waters drifts one of the most biologically sophisticated predators in the ocean, a creature so fragile in appearance that it can vanish almost entirely against the bright background of tropical sunlight. The box jellyfish moves silently through the water column, its body nearly transparent, the cube-shaped bell gliding forward with subtle pulses that are difficult to detect unless viewed closely. At first glance it appears delicate, almost insubstantial, like a living fragment of glass suspended in motion. But beneath this ghost-like form lies one of the most advanced venom systems in the animal kingdom, a biochemical weapon that operates with terrifying precision. The box jellyfish belongs to a group of animals known as cubozoans, distinguished by their square-shaped bell and the clusters of tentacles that extend from each corner. These tentacles may appear thin and harmless, yet they are densely covered with microscopic structures known as nematocysts. Each nematocyst functions as a tiny pressurized capsule containing a coiled harpoon and a potent mixture of venom molecules. When triggered by contact with prey, the capsule explosively discharges, firing the harpoon into the target with extraordinary speed. The firing of a nematocyst happens so rapidly that it is often described as one of the fastest cellular events in the natural world. The harpoon penetrates the outer layers of the prey's tissue almost instantly, delivering venom directly into the bloodstream or surrounding cells. A single tentacle may contain thousands of these microscopic weapons arranged along its length, forming a living net capable of paralyzing prey within moments of contact. What makes the venom of the box jellyfish particularly remarkable is not simply its potency, but its specificity. The molecules contained within this venom act as what biologists often describe as molecular keys, structures shaped with such precision that they fit perfectly into particular components of animal physiology. In the case of the box jellyfish, many of these molecular keys target a critical feature of muscle cells known as potassium channels. Potassium channels are tiny gateways embedded within the membranes of cells. They regulate the movement of potassium ions across the membrane, a process essential for maintaining electrical balance within the cell. In muscle tissue, including the muscles of the heart, these channels play a crucial role in controlling contraction and relaxation. The coordinated opening and closing of potassium channels allows heart muscle cells to cycle between contraction and rest, generating the rhythmic pulses that circulate blood through the body. When the venom molecules of the box jellyfish enter the bloodstream of a victim, they bind to these potassium channels with remarkable precision. The molecular key locks into the channel structure, interfering with its ability to regulate electrical signals. Instead of allowing the muscle cell to relax after a contraction, the venom effectively traps the system in a state of continuous activation. The result is a catastrophic disruption of the heart's electrical rhythm. Instead of beating in controlled pulses, the cardiac muscle can become locked in sustained contraction. Without the alternating pattern of contraction and relaxation required to pump blood effectively, the heart's function begins to fail. This process can unfold with alarming speed, particularly when large amounts of venom are delivered through extensive contact with the tentacles. Yet the box jellyfish did not evolve this system as a weapon against large animals. Its true targets are much smaller creatures drifting through the tropical waters. Tiny fish, shrimp, and planktonic organisms frequently encounter the tentacles as they move through the water column. For these animals, the venom acts as an immediate paralysis mechanism, stopping movement almost instantly. The box jellyfish then uses its tentacles to guide the immobilized prey toward the mouth located beneath the bell. Unlike many jellyfish that drift passively with ocean currents, cubozoans are active hunters capable of directed movement. Their bells contract rhythmically, allowing them to swim through the water with surprising speed and maneuverability. This mobility enables them to patrol shallow coastal habitats where prey is abundant, but where obstacles such as mangrove roots and coral fragments require careful navigation. Adding to their hunting efficiency is another unusual feature rarely associated with jellyfish: vision. Box jellyfish possess clusters of simple eyes arranged around the rim of the bell. Although these eyes lack the complexity of vertebrate vision, they can detect light intensity and the shapes of nearby objects. This sensory ability allows the jellyfish to avoid obstacles while navigating through cluttered environments such as mangrove forests. In these tangled underwater landscapes, the box jellyfish becomes a stealthy predator, moving through a labyrinth of roots and shadows. Schools of juvenile fish gather near the surface, feeding on microscopic plankton carried by tidal currents. The jellyfish drifts upward from deeper water, its tentacles trailing silently behind like nearly invisible threads. The moment a fish brushes against one of these threads, the nematocysts discharge. Venom floods into the fish's body, interfering with its nervous system and muscle function. Within seconds, the prey loses its ability to swim. The jellyfish senses the captured animal through mechanical receptors along the tentacles and begins drawing the prey toward its mouth. Although this feeding process appears simple, it reflects a sophisticated integration of sensory input, chemical weaponry, and coordinated movement. The jellyfish must detect prey through touch, immobilize it using venom, and transport it to the mouth, while maintaining control of the drifting tentacles. Each step unfolds within a predator that lacks a centralized brain, yet operates through a distributed network of nerve cells capable of processing environmental information. This decentralized nervous structure forms what scientists often refer to as a neural net, a network of interconnected nerve cells distributed throughout the animal's body. Unlike vertebrates, which rely on centralized brains to coordinate behavior, jellyfish process sensory information through this network. Signals move through the net in multiple directions, triggering muscular contractions and tentacle responses that guide the animal's movement and feeding. In the box jellyfish, this neural system integrates sensory input from the eyes, tentacles, and body surface, enabling the animal to respond dynamically to changes in its environment. If the jellyfish encounters an obstacle, signals from the eyes and mechanical receptors trigger adjustments in swimming direction. If prey contacts a tentacle, the neural net coordinates the discharge of nematocysts and the movement of tentacles toward the mouth. The evolutionary origins of this system stretch back hundreds of millions of years, long before the emergence of complex vertebrate nervous systems. Jellyfish represent one of the earliest examples of animals developing organized nerve networks capable of coordinating behavior. In the box jellyfish, this ancient design has been refined into a system capable of supporting active hunting in dynamic coastal habitats. The ecological role of the box jellyfish extends beyond its interactions with prey. By feeding on small fish and invertebrates, it participates in regulating populations within tropical ecosystems. At the same time, it becomes prey itself for certain species of sea turtles and specialized fish capable of tolerating its venom. These interactions illustrate the complex balance of predator and prey relationships that shape marine environments. Seasonal patterns also influence the presence of box jellyfish in coastal waters. In many regions, their numbers increase during warmer months when plankton blooms support larger populations of small fish. Tidal movements and ocean currents can transport jellyfish into shallow bays and estuaries, bringing them into closer proximity with mangrove habitats and seagrass beds where prey is abundant. During calm evenings when the sea lies flat beneath fading sunlight, the water may appear empty to the human eye. Yet beneath the surface, nearly invisible predators drift through the illuminated shallows. Their transparent bodies catch only the faintest reflections of light, while their tentacles extend like delicate filaments across the water column. Within these drifting threads lies a biochemical system honed by evolution to interact with the electrical machinery of living cells. The venom does not rely on brute toxicity alone. Instead, it exploits the fundamental mechanisms that control muscle contraction and nerve signaling. By fitting precisely into the molecular architecture of potassium channels, the venom acts as a key designed to unlock a devastating physiological response. For the small fish and crustaceans that share these waters, the encounter with a box jellyfish is often sudden and final. A brief contact with a tentacle triggers a chain reaction within the body, disrupting the electrical balance required for coordinated movement and survival. Within moments, the prey becomes part of the jellyfish's drifting hunt. And so, beneath the tranquil surface of tropical seas, the box jellyfish continues its silent patrol. Its body pulses gently through the water, guided by simple eyes and a distributed neural network that has endured since the earliest chapters of animal evolution. Invisible to most observers, it carries within its transparent form a venom system of extraordinary precision, a molecular key capable of unlocking the electrical rhythms that sustain life itself. Across the cold margins of the northern oceans, where dark water rolls beneath distant mountain coastlines and drifting fog blurs the horizon, an intelligence moves through the sea that is both biological and cultural at the same time. Long before the sun breaks fully above the horizon, the water begins to change. Small fish scatter near the surface. Seabirds circle in widening loops. And deep beneath the waves, a coordinated formation of predators advances with deliberate precision. The animals move silently, their black and white bodies slicing through the dim blue light of the upper ocean. To an observer watching from the surface, the scene may appear as a handful of whales surfacing together for breath. Yet beneath that simple motion lies a system of communication and strategy that transforms these animals into one of the most sophisticated hunting societies on Earth. The orca, often called the killer whale, occupies the top tier of marine food webs across much of the planet. From the icy seas surrounding Antarctica to the nutrient-rich waters of the North Pacific, these animals have adapted to a wide variety of marine environments. Their bodies reveal the anatomy of a high-speed marine predator, a powerful, muscular tail capable of driving the animal through water at impressive speed, a streamlined form that minimizes drag, and jaws lined with conical teeth, designed to grip slippery prey. But the most extraordinary feature of the orca is not its physical strength. It is the invisible structure of knowledge shared within family groups, a cultural inheritance passed from one generation to the next through sound. Orcas live in stable family units known as pods, groups that often consist of several related individuals centered around a matriarch whose experience guides the movements of the group. These pods remain together for decades, sometimes for the entire lifetimes of their members. Within the pod, individuals cooperate in hunting, navigation, and raising young. The bonds between them form one of the most enduring social systems observed in marine mammals. At the center of this social structure lies an intricate acoustic language. The ocean is an environment where vision is often limited by distance, depth, and suspended particles. Sound, however, travels with remarkable efficiency through seawater. Orcas exploit this property by producing a wide range of vocalizations, including whistles, clicks, and pulsed calls. Each of these sounds carries specific information that can travel across large distances beneath the waves. What makes the orca's vocal communication especially remarkable is that different pods speak in distinct dialects. These dialects consist of unique combinations of calls that function almost like regional languages. Members of the same pod share a set of vocal patterns that they learn early in life and continue to use throughout adulthood. When two pods encounter each other, their vocal signatures can reveal immediately that they belong to different social groups. The development of these dialects begins in infancy. Young orcas spend years within the close proximity of their mothers and other pod members, listening constantly to the calls that echo through the surrounding water. Over time, the calves begin to reproduce these sounds, gradually refining their vocalizations until they match the patterns used by the adults around them. Through this process, the acoustic identity of the pod becomes embedded in the behavior of each individual. These dialects do far more than simply identify group membership. They also encode knowledge about hunting strategies that have been perfected through generations of experience. Different orca populations specialize in hunting different types of prey, and their vocal behaviors reflect these specialized tactics. In the northeastern Pacific Ocean, for example, two major cultural groups of orcas share the same waters, but follow radically different hunting lifestyles. One group specializes primarily in fish, particularly salmon, while another hunts marine mammals such as seals and sea lions. These groups are not separated by physical barriers. They often travel through the same coastal channels and fjords, yet they rarely interbreed and maintain distinct cultural identities. The difference between them extends beyond diet. Their dialects, hunting techniques, and social behaviors all diverge in ways that reveal how culture shapes survival in the ocean. Fish-hunting orcas, often referred to as resident populations, rely heavily on coordinated movements to herd schools of fish into tight formations. When pursuing salmon, these orcas use bursts of echolocation clicks to locate prey hidden within murky water or beneath layers of suspended sediment. Once a school is detected, the pod works together to corral the fish into dense clusters. Individual whales then strike through the school with swift tail movements, stunning or killing fish before consuming them. The calls used during these hunts carry specific acoustic patterns that help maintain group coordination. Members of the pod recognize these calls instantly, allowing them to adjust their positions within the hunting formation. The vocalizations function almost like signals exchanged between teammates in a carefully choreographed operation. In contrast, mammal-hunting orcas operate under a different acoustic discipline. Their prey, including seals and dolphins, possess acute hearing and can detect the presence of predators through sound. For this reason, mammal hunting pods often reduce their vocal activity dramatically during hunts. They move quietly through the water, relying more heavily on stealth and visual cues. The strategies used in these hunts reveal an astonishing level of cooperative intelligence. When targeting seals resting on floating ice, for example, groups of orcas sometimes coordinate their movements to create waves that wash the prey into the water. Several whales line up side by side and accelerate toward the ice flow, generating a surge of water powerful enough to tip the platform and dislodge the seal. Once the prey enters the water, the whales maneuver quickly to block escape routes. Younger members of the pod observe these tactics closely, learning through repeated exposure how each step of the hunt unfolds. Over time, the techniques become part of the cultural knowledge that defines the pod. The dialects associated with these pods function almost like acoustic blueprints for these hunting strategies. Certain calls are linked to specific stages of the hunt, allowing individuals to synchronize their actions even when visibility is limited. Because these vocal patterns are unique to each family group, they act as a form of cultural encryption. Orcas from one pod cannot easily interpret the signals used by another, even when they occupy the same waters. This phenomenon creates a remarkable form of ecological partitioning. Different pods exploit different food sources while sharing overlapping territories. The specialized knowledge encoded in their dialects ensures that each group continues to pursue the prey types it has mastered over generations. The cultural separation between pods can persist for centuries. Genetic studies reveal that even when multiple pods inhabit the same geographic region, they often maintain distinct genetic lineages because interbreeding between groups is rare. Cultural identity, reinforced through dialect and learned behavior, becomes a barrier as powerful as any physical boundary. The ocean environment itself plays an important role in shaping this acoustic culture. Water temperature, depth, and underwater geography influence how sound travels. Orcas adjust their calls to suit these conditions, ensuring that their signals remain clear over long distances. In complex coastal landscapes, where underwater cliffs and channels scatter sound waves, the whales may rely more heavily on short-range communication and coordinated movement. At the center of this system stands the matriarch, often the oldest female in the pod. Her experience provides the group with knowledge of migration routes, feeding grounds, and seasonal patterns of prey availability. In regions where salmon populations fluctuate dramatically from year to year, this knowledge can determine whether the pod thrives or struggles. Matriarchs also serve as cultural anchors for dialect continuity. Because young whales remain with their mothers for many years, the vocal patterns of the matriarch become deeply ingrained in the next generation. Even as new calves are born and older individuals pass away, the acoustic identity of the pod persists. The result is a society where survival depends not only on physical adaptation, but also on the transmission of knowledge. In many ways, orcas represent a convergence between biological evolution and cultural evolution. Their bodies reflect millions of years of adaptation to life in the ocean, while their dialects and hunting techniques evolve across generations through learning and experience. When a pod of orcas moves through the open sea, their calls echo across the water column in patterns that carry far more meaning than simple noise. Each whistle and pulsed call contains fragments of a shared history, instructions shaped by decades of cooperative hunting and environmental familiarity. These sounds guide the pod through an ever-changing seascape, where prey migrations shift with ocean currents and seasonal cycles. As twilight settles over the ocean and the surface grows darker, the whales continue their patrol beneath the waves. Their dorsal fins slice briefly through the surface before disappearing again into the deepening blue. Below, their voices travel through the water in pulses of sound that bind the pod together. Within these acoustic signals lies a remarkable truth about life in the ocean. For the orca, survival is not simply a matter of strength or speed. It is a matter of knowledge, shared through generations, and encoded in the rhythms of a language that echoes across the sea. Each pod carries its own traditions, its own hunting songs, and its own strategies for navigating a vast and unpredictable world. In this sense, the orca is more than a predator. It is a keeper of culture in an environment where memory must travel through sound. Through their specialized dialects, these whales transform the ocean into a living archive of experience, where every call carries the accumulated wisdom of families that have hunted together beneath the waves for generations beyond counting. Far beyond the continental shelf, where the seafloor collapses into immense darkness, the ocean transforms into a vertical wilderness. Sunlight fades quickly as depth increases, leaving behind a realm defined by pressure, cold, and silence. In this environment, vision becomes unreliable. Shadows stretch endlessly through the water column, and the landscape of the deep sea reveals itself only through subtle textures of sediment, jagged volcanic ridges, and trenches that plunge thousands of meters below the surface. Few animals are capable of navigating this abyss with precision. Fewer still can hunt effectively within it. Yet from the bright world above, a massive predator descends into these depths with calm certainty. The sperm whale enters the darkness like a living submarine, its immense body angled downward as it begins one of the longest and deepest hunting dives performed by any mammal on Earth. The surface waters close above as the whale glides steadily toward the cold layers far below, carrying with it a biological instrument that turns sound into a tool of extraordinary precision. The sperm whale is the largest toothed predator on the planet, a creature whose size alone commands attention. An adult male may exceed the length of a large bus, its body thick and muscular, with a blunt squared head that accounts for nearly a third of its total length. At first glance, this enormous head appears almost disproportionate, a massive block resting atop a streamlined body built for deep diving. But inside this head lies one of the most remarkable biological structures in the marine world, the spermaceti organ. The spermaceti organ is an immense chamber filled with a waxy substance known as spermaceti oil. For centuries, this substance fascinated sailors and scientists alike, who struggled to understand its true function. Early whalers harvested spermaceti for use in candles and lubricants, long before its biological purpose became clear. Today, marine biologists recognize this organ as a critical component of the sperm whale's acoustic system, a structure that transforms the whale's head into a sophisticated sound projector capable of probing the darkest parts of the ocean. When the whale hunts, it relies almost entirely on echolocation. This system allows the animal to emit powerful clicks that travel through the water and bounce back after striking objects in the environment. By interpreting the returning echoes, the whale can build an acoustic map of its surroundings. In the lightless depths where vision fails, this method of sensing effectively replaces sight. The clicks generated by sperm whales are among the most intense biological sounds ever recorded in the ocean. These sounds originate in specialized nasal passages within the whale's head. Air is forced rapidly through structures known as phonic lips, creating sharp pulses of sound energy. The pulses then travel forward into the spermaceti organ, where their journey becomes far more complex. Inside the whale's head, the spermaceti organ functions as an acoustic lens. The oil contained within this chamber has unique physical properties that influence the speed and direction of sound waves. As the click travels through the organ, it reflects off internal structures and passes through layers of oil and connective tissue that shape the acoustic beam. The result is a tightly focused stream of sound energy projected forward from the whale's head. Rather than dispersing widely in all directions, the click becomes concentrated into a directional beam, similar in principle to the way a flashlight focuses light into a cone. This focused beam allows the whale to scan specific regions of the deep sea with remarkable resolution. In practical terms, this acoustic focusing enables the sperm whale to detect objects at extraordinary distances and with surprising detail. When the beam encounters a squid drifting in the darkness or a fish hidden near the seafloor, the returning echoes carry subtle information about the size, shape, and even internal structure of the object. Researchers studying sperm whale echolocation have discovered that the strength and precision of these clicks allow the whales to perceive prey hidden within complex environments. In the trenches and steep canyons of the deep sea, giant squid and other large cephalopods often shelter near the sea floor or within vertical rock formations. Visual detection in these habitats would be nearly impossible due to the absence of light and the presence of suspended particles in the water, but sound travels through water with exceptional efficiency. When a sperm whale directs its acoustic beam toward the seafloor, the echoes returning from sediment layers, rocks, and living creatures create a detailed acoustic landscape. The whale can detect disturbances within this landscape, revealing the presence of animals that might otherwise remain concealed. For a predator pursuing elusive prey such as giant squid, this ability becomes crucial. Giant squid are themselves masters of the deep ocean, capable of rapid movement through jet propulsion and equipped with long feeding tentacles lined with powerful hooks. Encounters between sperm whales and giant squid are among the most dramatic predator-prey interactions in the deep sea. Evidence of these encounters appears in the scars often found on the skin of adult sperm whales. Circular marks left by the suction cups of giant squid tentacles sometimes cover the whale's head and body, silent records of battles fought far below the surface. These scars testify to the intensity of encounters between two enormous predators meeting in total darkness. During a hunting dive, the sperm whale descends gradually, conserving energy as it approaches depths where prey becomes more abundant. The whale's physiology is perfectly adapted for these extreme conditions. Large volumes of oxygen are stored within its muscles and blood, allowing it to remain submerged for extended periods. Its heart rate slows dramatically during deep dives, reducing oxygen consumption while the body directs available resources toward the brain and swimming muscles. At depth, the whale begins to emit a rapid series of echolocation clicks known as a buzz. These bursts of sound increase in frequency as the whale closes in on potential prey. Each click travels outward through the water, shaped and focused by the spermaceti organ, before radiating into the darkness ahead. The echoes returning from the environment provide continuous feedback. A distant squid drifting near the seabed may produce a faint acoustic signature at first, barely distinguishable from background noise. As the whale approaches, the echoes strengthen, revealing the contours of the prey's body and its position relative to the seafloor. The precision of this system has led some scientists to compare the sperm whale's echolocation beam to a biological sonar scanner capable of penetrating the top layers of sediment or detecting prey hidden within deep-sea canyons. Although the comparison to an X-ray is metaphorical, the concept captures the essence of the whale's ability to reveal objects that remain invisible in the darkness. When the moment of capture arrives, the whale accelerates toward the target, jaws opening to reveal rows of large conical teeth. Unlike many toothed whales that seize prey with rapid bites, sperm whales often rely on suction feeding. By expanding the throat and creating a sudden pressure difference, the whale can draw the squid or fish directly into its mouth. The struggle between predator and prey unfolds silently in the deep ocean. Squid may attempt to escape with bursts of jet-propelled movement, releasing clouds of ink in an effort to confuse the hunter. Yet the whale's acoustic perception continues to track the prey through the darkness, adjusting its movements based on the shifting echoes. After capturing the squid, the whale begins its slow ascent back toward the surface. The enormous lungs expand gradually as pressure decreases, and the stored oxygen reserves approach their limits. Minutes later, the whale breaks through the surface in an explosive exhalation, releasing a towering spout of mist that drifts across the ocean surface. This cycle of descent, hunting, and ascent repeats throughout the whale's life, sometimes hundreds of times each year. Over decades of experience, individual whales refine their hunting strategies and develop an intimate understanding of the underwater landscapes they inhabit. In regions where deep trenches lie close to continental margins, sperm whales may follow predictable migration routes aligned with seasonal changes in squid populations. These migrations reveal a complex relationship between predator behavior and the dynamic ocean environment. Temperature gradients, nutrient upwellings, and shifting currents all influence the distribution of prey species in the deep sea. Through their hunting activities, sperm whales also influence the broader ecology of the ocean. By consuming large quantities of squid and fish, they regulate populations of deep-sea predators and prey. When whales return to the surface and release waste products, nutrients from deep water are transported upward, contributing to productivity in the upper ocean layers. This vertical transfer of nutrients, sometimes called the whale pump, plays a subtle but important role in maintaining marine ecosystems. As twilight spreads across the ocean and the sky darkens toward night, another sperm whale prepares for a descent into the abyss. The surface water reflects fading light, while the depths below remain permanently dark. With a final inhalation, the whale arches its massive body and slips beneath the surface, tail flukes rising briefly before disappearing into the water. Far below, the spermaceti organ within its head begins once again to shape pulses of sound into focused beams. Each click travels outward through the immense blackness, illuminating the invisible landscape with echoes that return to the whale's sensitive auditory system. In this way, the sperm whale transforms sound into a form of perception capable of penetrating the deep ocean. Its enormous head, once misunderstood as an oddity of anatomy, becomes a powerful acoustic instrument. Through the focusing properties of the spermaceti organ, the whale turns the darkness of the abyss into a navigable terrain, locating prey hidden within trenches and valleys thousands of meters below the surface. Within the silent world of the deep sea, where light cannot reach and vision fails entirely, the sperm whale hunts not with eyes, but with sound shaped into a precise acoustic lens. Through this remarkable adaptation, it reveals the hidden life of the ocean's darkest realms, transforming echoes into knowledge and knowledge into survival. The water along tropical reef slopes often appears tranquil from above, a shimmering mosaic of turquoise shallows and darker blue channels where the seabed descends toward deeper water. Beneath that calm surface lies one of the most intricate ecological architectures on Earth. Coral reefs rise from the seafloor like living cities, their limestone skeletons supporting forests of branching coral, soft waving sea fans, and labyrinths of rock and algae that provide shelter for thousands of species. Schools of reef fish move through these structures like clouds of color, constantly adjusting their positions to avoid predators while searching for food. In such environments, survival depends on constant vigilance. Nearly every fish recognizes the shapes, movements, and chemical signals of the predators that have shared these waters for millions of years. This ancient balance is built upon recognition. Prey species learn to identify danger from the silhouettes and behaviors of the hunters around them. Predators refine their techniques through generations of evolutionary pressure. The reef becomes a landscape of signals and responses where every organism participates in a complex network of survival strategies. When this balance functions normally, no single species overwhelms the system. Populations rise and fall in cycles that reflect the constant push and pull between predator and prey. Yet occasionally, the ocean introduces an outsider into this tightly regulated community. When a species arrives from a completely different evolutionary context, the rules of recognition can break down. The prey do not recognize the new predator. The local predators do not recognize the newcomer as potential food. The ecological checks that normally prevent one species from dominating an environment simply fail to activate. In the Western Atlantic and Caribbean Sea, that outsider takes the form of a fish that looks almost too ornate to be real. Drifting slowly above coral ledges and mangrove roots is the lionfish, a creature whose appearance resembles a living sculpture of fins and spines. Long feather-like rays extend outward from its body, forming a dramatic halo of striped fins that ripple gently in the water. Its coloration alternates between dark maroon and pale bands, creating a pattern that stands out vividly against the pale sand and coral rubble of the reef. At first glance, the lionfish appears almost delicate. Its fins spread wide like the wings of a drifting feather, and its movement through the water is slow and controlled. Yet concealed within those elegant fins lies a defensive arsenal. Along the dorsal, pelvic, and anal fins are sharp spines connected to venom glands, capable of delivering painful stings. The venom is not usually fatal to humans, but it serves as a powerful deterrent to animals that might otherwise attempt to eat the fish. In its native range across the Indo-Pacific, lionfish evolved within reef systems, where predators such as groupers, sharks, and large moray eels occasionally prey upon them. Those predators learn through experience or instinct to approach the fish cautiously, avoiding the venomous spines while targeting vulnerable areas of the body. Over time, the lionfish became just another participant in the complex web of reef interactions. But when lionfish appeared in Atlantic waters, the situation changed dramatically. The Atlantic reefs had never encountered this particular species before. Their predators had no evolutionary history with lionfish, and their prey species had never learned to recognize its distinctive shape as a threat. The introduction of lionfish into the Atlantic is believed to have occurred through the release of aquarium specimens during the late 20th century. A small number of individuals entered coastal waters and began reproducing. What followed became one of the most striking examples of biological invasion in marine ecosystems. Lionfish possess a reproductive strategy that allows their populations to expand rapidly. A single female can release egg masses containing tens of thousands of eggs at frequent intervals throughout the year. These eggs float near the surface, carried by ocean currents across large distances before hatching into larvae that drift through the plankton. As the larvae mature, they settle onto reefs, mangroves and seagrass beds, where they begin life as small but already efficient predators. Because local predators did not initially recognize lionfish as prey, the young fish experienced unusually high survival rates. Without the normal pressures that limit population growth, lionfish numbers expanded quickly along the coasts of the Caribbean and southeastern North America. Reefs that once supported balanced communities of fish suddenly gained a new predator capable of feeding almost continuously. The hunting behavior of lionfish reveals why their impact has been so dramatic. Unlike many reef predators that rely on bursts of speed to capture prey, lionfish employ a strategy based on slow approach and controlled manipulation of the surrounding water. When a lionfish detects a small fish or shrimp nearby, it begins to spread its large pectoral fins outward, forming a semicircular barrier that gradually closes around the prey. These extended fins serve multiple purposes. They visually overwhelm the prey, creating a wall of striped rays that disrupts the animal's sense of direction. At the same time, the fins subtly direct water currents toward the lionfish's mouth. As the predator inches closer, it releases gentle jets of water that confuse the prey's lateral line sensory system, a mechanism fish normally use to detect movement in their surroundings. The prey becomes disoriented, trapped between the expanding fan of fins and the approaching mouth of the lionfish. At the final moment, the predator lunges forward with astonishing speed, opening its jaws and generating a sudden vacuum that pulls the prey directly into its mouth. The entire capture sequence often takes less than a second. This hunting technique allows lionfish to consume a wide variety of reef species, from juvenile groupers and snappers to small gobies, wrasses, and crustaceans. Observations in heavily invaded areas have revealed that a single lionfish may consume dozens of prey animals during a single feeding session. In dense populations, the cumulative impact of these predators can dramatically reduce the abundance of small reef fish. The phrase often used by marine biologists to describe this situation is the absence of natural predators, sometimes informally referred to as a no-predator glitch in the ecosystem. The lionfish occupies a niche in which the normal feedback loops of predation and population control have temporarily failed. Prey species continue to feed and reproduce as usual, unaware that a new predator has entered the system. Meanwhile, local predators hesitate to attack the unfamiliar fish with its venomous spines. As a result, lionfish populations in the Atlantic have reached densities rarely observed in their native habitats. On some reefs, researchers have recorded dozens of individuals occupying relatively small areas. Each fish hunts independently, moving slowly across the reef structure and capturing prey with relentless efficiency. The ecological consequences ripple outward through the reef community. Many of the fish consumed by lionfish play important roles in maintaining reef health. Some species graze on algae that would otherwise overgrow coral surfaces. Others serve as prey for larger predators, forming a vital link in the food web. When lionfish remove large numbers of these smaller species, the balance of the reef begins to shift. Algae may spread across coral colonies, reducing the space available for new coral growth. Predators that depend on smaller fish as food may find fewer prey items available. Over time, the structure of the entire reef ecosystem can change. Yet even within this disruption, the reef continues to adapt. In some regions, scientists have observed native predators gradually beginning to consume lionfish, particularly when the fish are injured or when their spines are removed by human intervention. Large groupers and sharks have occasionally been documented attacking lionfish under certain conditions. These interactions hint at the possibility that the ecosystem may eventually incorporate the newcomer into its network of predator-prey relationships. Human divers have also become participants in this ecological story. In many parts of the Caribbean, organized efforts now encourage the removal of lionfish from reefs through targeted fishing and spearfishing programs. Because lionfish flesh is safe and considered highly desirable as food, some coastal communities have developed fisheries that help reduce their numbers while providing economic benefits. Despite these interventions, lionfish remain one of the most successful marine invaders ever recorded. Their ability to reproduce rapidly, adapt to a wide range of habitats, and hunt with remarkable efficiency ensures that they continue to thrive across vast regions of the Atlantic. As the sun begins to set over a Caribbean reef, the water takes on a deeper blue hue, and shadows stretch across the coral landscape. Small fish retreat into crevices, while nocturnal species emerge from hiding. Amid this shift in activity, a lionfish drifts slowly along the edge of a coral outcrop, its fins spread like an elaborate crown. Tiny fish hover nearby, unaware of the predator's presence or uncertain how to interpret the unfamiliar shape. The lionfish pauses, its body almost motionless except for the gentle undulation of its fins. Gradually it expands its pectoral rays, forming a living net that surrounds a cluster of prey. In a sudden motion the fish lunges forward, jaws opening, and the prey vanish into its mouth. The predator resumes its slow patrol, continuing through the reef with quiet persistence. Within the Atlantic ecosystem, the lionfish represents a moment where evolutionary history briefly faltered. The signals that once guided predator and prey interactions did not recognize this newcomer. For the lionfish, that absence of recognition became an opportunity, transforming a beautiful but venomous fish into one of the most dominant hunters on the reef. And so, the ornate silhouette glides through coral corridors where ancient rules once governed survival. In the intricate society of the reef, where every species normally knows its role, the lionfish moves like an outsider rewriting the script, a reminder that even the most stable ecosystems can change when a single unfamiliar predator enters the stage. Far from shore, where the continental shelf slopes gradually into the open ocean, the water appears endless and deceptively empty. Sunlight filters downward through a deep column of blue, fading slowly as it passes through layers of drifting plankton and suspended particles. To the casual observer, this environment seems calm and quiet, an immense desert of water stretching beyond the horizon. Yet beneath that apparent stillness lies a sensory world far richer than anything visible to the human eye. Within this fluid landscape, invisible signals move constantly through the water, forming chemical trails, electrical pulses, and faint vibrations that reveal the presence of life. Few animals are better equipped to read this hidden language of the sea than the tiger shark. Moving through the open water with steady confidence, the shark's striped body cuts through the current like a living instrument tuned to detect the slightest disturbance. Its broad head sweeps gently from side to side as it swims, a motion that might appear casual, but is in fact a deliberate scanning behavior. Every movement exposes the shark to new sensory information carried through the water. The tiger shark belongs to a group of predators whose sensory abilities extend far beyond the limits of human perception. While vision plays a role in navigation and hunting, it is only one component of a complex sensory network that allows the shark to locate prey in environments where visibility may be poor or non-existent. In the murky coastal waters and dim depths where tiger sharks often patrol, the ability to interpret non-visual signals becomes essential for survival. Among the most powerful of these abilities is the shark's sense of smell. The nostrils located beneath the snout lead to a pair of highly sensitive olfactory chambers lined with folded membranes known as lamellae. These structures dramatically increase the surface area available for detecting chemical molecules dissolved in seawater. When water flows through the shark's nostrils, these membranes capture and analyze the faintest traces of biological compounds released by other animals. In the ocean, every creature leaves behind a chemical signature. Fish release amino acids through their gills as they breathe. Injured animals leak blood and cellular fluids into the surrounding water. Even healthy organisms shed microscopic particles of skin and waste that become part of the chemical tapestry drifting through the sea. For most animals, these signals are subtle and fleeting. For the tiger shark, they form a trail of information that can stretch across large distances. Experiments conducted by marine biologists have demonstrated that sharks can detect extraordinarily small concentrations of blood in seawater. Under certain conditions, a tiger shark may respond to the presence of a single drop of blood, diluted within a volume of water far larger than the body of the shark itself. This sensitivity allows the predator to detect injured or distressed animals long before they come into view. Yet the shark does not simply detect the presence of blood and immediately rush toward it. The process of tracking prey through chemical signals requires careful interpretation. Ocean currents constantly mix and disperse these molecules, creating complex plumes that shift and twist through the water column. A shark encountering the scent of blood may swim in widening arcs, sampling the water at different points until it identifies the direction where the chemical concentration grows stronger. This behavior, known as rheotaxis, allows the shark to navigate upstream along the scent trail. As the predator approaches the source, the concentration of chemical cues increases, confirming that the shark is moving in the correct direction. The process resembles following an invisible thread woven through the ocean, each subtle change in concentration guiding the predator closer to its target. The tiger shark's sensory arsenal extends far beyond smell alone. Along the length of its body runs a structure known as the lateral line, a series of fluid-filled canals embedded beneath the skin. Within these canals are specialized cells capable of detecting minute vibrations and pressure changes in the surrounding water. When a fish flicks its tail or a struggling animal thrashes near the surface, the resulting pressure waves travel outward through the water. The lateral line system allows the shark to detect these disturbances from considerable distances. This sensitivity to vibration transforms the tiger shark into an expert listener in the underwater world. A flock of seabirds feeding frantically on the surface may create splashes that echo downward through the water column. From below, the shark can interpret these vibrations as signs of feeding activity, an indication that injured fish or scraps of prey may soon drift downward. But perhaps the most extraordinary sensory adaptation possessed by the tiger shark lies in structures that appear almost invisible upon casual inspection. Scattered across the surface of the shark's snout are tiny pores leading to gel-filled canals embedded within the skin. These structures are known as the ampullae of Lorenzini, one of the most sensitive electroreception systems found in any animal. All living organisms generate small electrical fields as their muscles contract and nerves transmit signals. These electrical pulses are extremely weak, but in conductive seawater they travel short distances through the surrounding environment. The ampullae of Lorenzini are designed to detect these faint signals. Each pore on the shark's snout connects to a canal filled with a conductive gel that transmits electrical signals to sensory cells at the base of the canal. When an electrical field passes through the water near the shark, it creates a slight voltage difference across the pores. The sensory cells detect this difference and transmit the information to the shark's brain, allowing it to perceive the presence of living animals even when they remain hidden from view. This ability becomes particularly important when prey attempts to conceal itself. Many fish bury themselves in sand or remain motionless against the seafloor in an attempt to avoid detection. While such strategies may defeat visual predators, they cannot hide the electrical signals generated by breathing muscles and beating hearts. A tiger shark cruising above the seabed may suddenly veer downward toward a patch of sand that appears empty to the human eye. As it approaches, the shark sweeps its head slowly across the bottom, scanning for electrical signals. The faint heartbeat of a buried fish or stingray creates a tiny electrical disturbance that the shark's ampullae detect with remarkable precision. Within moments, the predator lunges, jaws opening to seize the concealed prey. Even animals resting at the ocean surface can be detected through this system. A seabird sitting on the water produces subtle electrical signals through muscle activity and circulation. From below, the tiger shark may sense these signals through the conductive medium of seawater. Although the distance over which electroreception functions is limited compared with smell or vibration detection, the sensitivity of the ampullae allows the shark to perceive prey that would otherwise remain unnoticed. Together, these sensory systems form an integrated network that allows the tiger shark to navigate and hunt with extraordinary effectiveness. The sense of smell identifies distant chemical trails, the lateral line interprets vibrations from struggling animals, and electroreception reveals the hidden electrical signatures of living prey. Each system provides a different layer of information, and the shark's brain combines these signals to form a coherent picture of the surrounding environment. This sensory integration becomes particularly valuable in the tiger shark's preferred hunting grounds. Unlike some sharks that specialize in deep offshore waters, tiger sharks frequently patrol coastal regions where visibility can be limited by sediment, algae, and fluctuating light conditions. In such environments, relying on vision alone would severely restrict the predator's ability to locate prey. Instead, the shark moves through the water, guided by invisible signals that constantly update its understanding of the ecosystem around it. A wounded fish drifting downstream, a turtle resting near the surface, or a ray buried beneath the sand, each produces a different combination of chemical, vibrational, and electrical cues. The tiger shark interprets these cues with the efficiency of a predator that has evolved over millions of years to exploit every available source of information. The diet of the tiger shark reflects this versatility. Few marine predators consume such a wide range of prey. Sea turtles, seabirds, fish, squid, rays, and even carrion may all appear on the tiger shark's menu. Its powerful jaws and serrated teeth allow it to slice through tough shells and bones with ease. In many coastal ecosystems, the tiger shark functions as an apex predator, regulating populations of other species and maintaining ecological balance. Despite their formidable reputation, tiger sharks are not reckless hunters. Their sensory systems allow them to assess potential prey before committing to an attack. By combining chemical signals with electrical and vibrational information, the shark can determine whether a target is injured, alive, or already dead. This ability reduces wasted energy and minimizes the risk of confronting animals capable of defending themselves. As evening approaches and the ocean surface reflects the fading light of the sky, the tiger shark continues its patrol through the water column. Its body moves with effortless power, propelled by slow sweeping motions of the tail. The snout glides just beneath the surface as the shark samples the water for new signals. Somewhere ahead, a faint chemical trace drifts through the current, the diluted signature of blood released by an injured fish. The shark alters its course slightly, swimming upstream along the invisible trail. At the same time, subtle vibrations ripple through the water as seabirds gather above a school of baitfish driven toward the surface. Far below, the ampullae of Lorenzini detect faint electrical pulses, the hidden heartbeat of life waiting somewhere within the vast blue expanse. For the tiger shark, these signals are not separate sensations, but pieces of a single sensory landscape that stretches across the ocean. In this world of chemical whispers, electrical echoes, and vibrating currents, the tiger shark becomes more than a predator. It becomes a living sensor array, a creature capable of perceiving layers of reality that remain completely invisible to human observers. Through this extraordinary sensory overload, the shark navigates the ocean with a level of awareness that transforms even the emptiest waters into a map filled with opportunity.